one, two, three, and how y'all doing today?
Bite by popular demand. Sunshine and rainbows. How you gentlemen doing?
I'm doing good. I've had a rough week as far as like sleep. Man, it's not really happening, but I'm good. You know,
Who had
uh,
a rough week?
me. It was as far as sleep, not like
Who's
horrible.
me? You gotta introduce yourself, bro. We got new listeners in the building.
Well, I mean, we do, but I thought y'all could see my face while I was talking. But I'm Banks himself, aka the guy who hasn't had much sleep this week, aka yeah, the dude in the red hoodie, with the Naruto headband on. So yeah, but yeah, I haven't got much sleep this week. Um,
Mic check 1 2. Y'all know what it do. It's your man's William H at Murphy's Law 615, 1/3 of the Prism Black Podcast. Glad to be.
And excuse me. And I'm Carl Tomlinson, aka Chaos Black. And I've been waiting to hear that jazz music. Been waiting to hear it.
you want to hear it again? I can hit. Look, I can get you what you want. Is this what you want? Is this what you want?
What I love best about it is it's only like 4 seconds long.
Hey, 4 seconds is all you need, dog.
That's all we need to shine, baby. We in the spotlight, but I'm not gonna start. Sometimes I be ready to get a little bop, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. We only got 4 seconds.
I can loop it. I looped it last week. You want me to loop it again? I can loop it. Hold on.
Yeah, okay.
Every time I hear it, I'm just waiting for the second chord.
We're not going out like that.
We need the full track.
Whoever put that together on the internet, if you're listening to this podcast, please get us the rest of that track.
Yeah, hit us up.
So Vaughn, we know how we got a beat on your week. Carl, how's everything going on your end, family?
I'm okay.
Flatline.
You know what I mean? I'm just waiting for the topics.
Waiting for the topics. Carl, you don't never want to talk about how you feel, bro. What's wrong?
That's pretty much true. That's pretty accurate.
No, look. We're friends here, bro. How was your week?
Respect the privacy.
No, week was fine. You know, I can't complain. Cannot complain. I'm just ready to tell Will he's wrong, like he always is on the podcast. So
the irony behind that statement, Carl, is you be arguing with yourself. I'm not here for the arguments or disagreements. I respect everybody's opinion, and you are entitled to have that. However, really? I prefer to stick to facts, though. I do prefer to stick.
Wait. So I was arguing with myself on the Jedi episode. I thought it looked like I was arguing with both of you, but that's
okay. No, there wasn't no argument. Jovan and I were in agreement on what we was doing. You're the only one who had a disagreement. we were in sync, cohesive. You know what I mean? We made a decision. You were outside of the circle of trust on that. Speaking of, since you started with Star Wars, y'all catch that new trailer for Star Wars Visions?
Yeah, I did.
No.
They are going anime, and I can't wait. A Star Wars anime, I think, is what we needed that we never asked for, but secretly all wanted. Vaughn, react.
I mean, yeah. Just because my thing about animation, as far as like live action, animation really isn't limited to what you can string up in 3D or, what you can do as far as like with actors. Like you can pretty much, if you can draw it, you can make it. So like, if you want somebody to do 70 flips. You just draw them doing 70 flips. So like with me, that's one of the things I like the most about animation is that you're only limited by your imagination. So it's like as long as you can put it on paper, you can do it. So yeah, that's always. So,
I keep it funky. 8 more than 92. I'm drawn to the aesthetic of anime style. Like any type of course, I can enjoy an animation, but this Star Wars Vision is actually a total, the entire series is anthology, I believe, but it's random different stories taking place at different points throughout the galaxy, right, far, far away. But they've gone out of their way to incorporate a lot of anime characteristics, if you will. Seems to be wise samurai like Jedi out there somewhere. definitely enhanced force abilities that we're seeing explored. I'm just excited overall. Like you throw a lightsaber into anything with me, and as a Star Wars fan, like I'm pretty much there for it. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be streaming in September, if I'm not mistaken. Carl, unimpressed or don't care?
No, I just haven't seen it. Haven't seen the preview.
Yeah, you should go watch it. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Do yourself a favor on that one. It's about 2 to 3 minutes, but it's enough to get your Jedi Knight sentiment stirring. But to that point, Jedi still suck. So,
yeah.
Here we go. Here we go, everybody. Here we go. I'm just
also with that, we have a Lord of the Rings anime coming out, which I'm just gonna say, if you animate something, I think it makes it 10 times better. Case in point, Blood of Zeus.
Was Blood of Zeus not?
It was animated. Like they animated the stories just in general. If that story had been done, like we saw Immortals, we saw any movies on Greek mythology is kind of, we know the special effects, but from an animated perspective, it was way better than I think any other studio would have done if it not been like the detail in Zeus looking like a Super Saiyan, doing some of his godly Zeus-like powers. Just like, yeah, that story hits way better with the anime effects.
I actually really liked Blood of Zeus.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Especially Seraphim. Seraphim was my favorite character.
Now, big facts. I don't think we're gonna get another season of Blood of Zeus.
They set it up to have another season, but I don't know if.
But would it be a continuation of that story or just more Greek mythology?
More Greek mythology, or just a continuation of that story, just like because like Seraphim at the end is offered a choice. See, I didn't spoil it. I did not spoil it. He's offered a choice.
Look at you. Look at you.
He's offered a choice, and he kind of takes, the road that leads to a sequel, instead of just saying, I'm gonna, piece it out. But, so yeah, I think they definitely set it up for season 2. But, I'm gonna look into it tonight because I really like that show.
No, facts. Well, I mean, not to stray down that rabbit hole, just this Lord of the Rings anime is going to take place about 600 to 700 years before the events we see in the trilogy, centering on the dwarves in the mountain. So I'm guessing about where Smaug takes that mountain. But those battles, and I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, so not a diehard fan, but if you ask me who will win in a fight between Dumbledore and Gandalf, I'm definitely rolling with Gandalf. So that's just where I stand.
Dumbledore mix him.
Go ahead, Carl.
Dumbledore all day, every day, twice on the weekend.
Dumbledore is dead, by the way. He is dead, and Gandalf is like eternal. Gandalf the White is like he comes back immortal. So I mean, just throw that out there. I don't know how dead ass Dumbledore gonna beat eternal Gandalf, but
I mean,
there, Carl.
First off, we'll handle it on the next versus episode.
No, dead ass. That is a bar argument starter. I have thrown that one out there just to get reactions, and people, the Harry Potter nerds, take that serious, bro. Like they will go in.
I'm just saying we can talk about it on the next verse episode, but
yeah, we might have to come back to that. But I said what I said, and y'all heard me. But yeah, Lord of the Rings anime coming. That's going to be exciting. Aside from that, Disney What If first episode. Did y'all get a chance to check that out, Captain Carter?
No.
Yeah, I saw it. It was a great watch. I want to talk about it a little bit later. I want to get into like the stuff that like we were going to talk about today. Maybe I know there are a couple of new like animated things that are out, either animated or animated related shows that have dropped recently that just wanted to mention for people who are listening to watch. But I know today's episode about like top
Pause
tier
that
lists.
real quick. Excuse me, because we wasn't done with that, and we have 2 minutes left on the talk track. I know you're trying to segue, but I had something to follow up with that. For those who didn't know, What If is just, y'all, I'm sure y'all seen the trailers, just a take on the events of Marvel, just alternate views, vantage points at least. But Captain Carter explores what if Agent Peggy Carter had become Captain America instead. And to couple with that, it looks like it is official. Anthony Mackie will be donning the shield for Captain America 4 in the MCU. So not anything major in terms of where they're going with that direction, but it looks like that is confirmed, and he is also going to continue repping that Captain America. And I guess if there's going to be a season 2 of Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So, or yeah, used to be Falcon and Winter Soldier, now it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
I'm really excited about the next phase of Marvel.
So Papa Doc's come up. He's come a long way. Like, I'm happy for him. He's come a long way from getting served by B Rabbit to saving and avenging the world. Like, shout out to that guy, man. But Carl, I know you are anxious. We got a few things to talk about tonight, and I'll let my man Carl take it away. But why don't you introduce a few of the topics, sir?
So for today's episode, we were going to get into our top tier list for different topics involving like anime. I know I won't name them all. I know some of my esteemed co-hosts, some of these topics are some of their favorites. So
Specifically,
one-
guys, to the listeners, your top one and dones and some anime moments that we've just compiled on our own independent kind of vibe.
So you're talking about best one season anime?
That's what we discussed. No,
Yeah. I'm just trying to make it clear for everybody. So
yeah, just that was
who's listening?
because
Who's listening?
my memory. But yeah,
No, who's
Go ahead.
listening? Like I know, we know. I'm just making sure like they know what we're talking about.
for sure.
About what you
So-
talk about it.
First topic is, what is your top 5, your top 10, if you have that many best one season animes. I'll let you guys go first.
I'm going.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get into a ranking with it. I really want to throw them out there and get y'all's take on some of the ones that I think are just really that good, and I want to do the same with y'all. I mean, I'll
don't
be honest with you. To the point of ranking, and I know we do a lot of ranking, but I'll be honest. It dawned on me that I don't recall as much as I thought I did with some of the classic OGs that I've watched. And it's not like back in the day where we had to wait for releases and go buy. Like, now with streaming, I can really just sit down and binge. So I think what I'm going to do shortly, is get kickstarted with a Prism Black anime challenge that we can discuss off air, maybe moving in coming weeks. But I want to watch all the OGs and all the new wave shit and just edit that out. New wave shows and just do a comparison side by side. But one of my top one and dones starting off, I would say Dead Man Wonderland. I really enjoyed that show. I enjoyed the premise. For those who don't know, Dead Man Wonderland centers in Japan. Big earthquake destroys most of what is Japan, about 3/4 of it. Lands our main character, Gata Igarashi, he gets framed for like murdering his class. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but he lands in some prison where he's on death row, and they're pretty much manipulating the prisoners. It's a kind of a tale of, there's like some dark elements, obviously, the trafficking and all that type of stuff. But to put a spin on that, they're manipulating these prisoners, injecting them with a poison, and then turning around and treating them with the cure, so that they kind of do what they say. And a few select prisoners have determined or figured out a way to manipulate their blood to use it like as they see fit as weapons. So that leads to prison fights, of course, which anonymous viewers bid money to watch people brutally fight to the death. And the show started off amazing, and unfortunately got canceled because the studio Monglobe went bankrupt in 2015. So we are not getting a second season, but Dead Man Wonderland was hard.
Yeah, and just to make it clear, obviously, like when we're mentioning these, they're not ranked. Like when we're mentioning like these shows, most of these, they're not ranked in a certain order or whatnot, unless we specifically say, no, I think this is one of the best of this of all time or whatnot. So they're not in any order, but like as Will said, Dead Man Wonderland classic one season.
Carl,
Banks,
can
you
we
got it?
can
What?
we count? I wanted to ask before we get further. Are we counting one, like 2 seasons, like that's it, finite as one and done too? Because I would lean towards those kind of are start to finish done stories. But also it doesn't always break down into 2 seasons, because I got into that with Code Geass. Japanese version was just running, and then the American dub version had it split up into 2 seasons. But how
That's
are
a
we
good
treating those
question.
as?
I think if the original version has it just as like if the
Wait, wait.
original version like has it as like one season, then it's just one season.
Okay.
All right, Banks, what you got, man?
I got drum roll, please. Devilman Crybaby. I mean, I got some more shows that people are like, oh, you didn't name this one, but I just want to throw some stuff out there that people
Hold on,
don't
what'd you
really.
say? You said what?
Devilman.
Devilman Crybaby.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to throw some stuff out there that I don't talk about like a lot because it
I
can get
loved Devilman Crybaby, but it took a hard turn at the end.
yeah,
Shh,
and
I
then
that's a
didn't
like
mind it though.
man.
It just went. I was just like, whoa, shit got trippy.
yeah, and then like they kind of use 3D in it, and I'm not a big fan of 3D animation and mixed with 2D animation because you can usually tell what's 3D and what's 2D. Um, but it was good. So that was a good one that I think people should go watch. It's on Netflix if you're trying to go watch it. It's not something you have to search hard for since it's a Netflix original. Netflix is gonna have it on there forever, but that doesn't mean wait forever to go watch it.
Do you have any particular moment in that show that sticks out to you?
Yeah, when they first the club transformation scene, that was like when everybody just started turning into like demons. Like that part stuck out to me. So
Yeah, great choice, Banks. I know exactly what Will is talking about. It got a little graphic and at the end. I don't know the proper word to use to describe it, but I mean, still a good show. I'm not. Hey, it's still a dope watch. It's especially for a one season anime. I guess it's my turn. So it's fitting that Will said Dead Man's Wonderland. I feel like this show is very similar to Dead Man's Wonderland, but the Future Diary.
I've been seeing that, and I haven't. I've been meaning to start that, dude. Is it hard?
It is a dope watch. I will say this. There are a lot of Dead Man Wonderland similarities as far as like the male and the woman like in both shows they have some similarities with each other, but still I won't go into detail of like what the show is about, but I will say it is definitely a dope watch because we're gonna get into other one season shows that are close to us. But Will, go
Do
ahead.
you have a general synopsis of it? Because I wanted to, at least on a surface level, because I believe that studio that's putting behind Future Diaries is behind several newer mainstreams like K. I think they may have been behind Seraph of the End, Vampire Reign, but it's just a few out there that I think they're behind, which would explain some of the similarities between them or some of the similar artists or writers. But Future Diaries, what's the general surface synopsis on that?
So um the general synopsis is basically the main character as a man has the future diary in a sense, and I don't want to like misquote it exactly because it's been like a while since I've actually seen it.
Mhm.
But pretty much the lead woman in the lead girl woman in the show, she knows like everything like that's about to happen almost like in the show, and like there's there's an aspect of it where people are like being assassinated and like all these other things, and uh that's not the best. I know that is not the best accurate description like of the show, but like Will and some other people have told me in the past, I don't want to like just completely give it away, but I do just want to say um it's a great watch. Trust me when I say it's a great watch. I know like when people say trust, well, what does that mean? But whatnot. But no, it's a dope watch. Um the characters are very personable. There's like a love, not necessarily like a love triangle, but the main characters dance around each other with romantic flair in a sense, and and it's a great watch. So
This
Mm.
man said romantic flair.
Romantic.
Romantic
Ricky
flair.
Romance
Put
over
that in my bio.
Is that your is that in your Bumble bio, Carl?
Ain't got no Bumble, dog. I'm gonna say
I
that.
recently
Put
deleted
that in
my
my. I'm
Bumble.
gonna put that in my wife's next Valentine's Day card.
Well,
Romantic.
excuse me, I deleted the apps, but yeah, I give up. Anyway, I got two. I got two. I want us to say Cowboy Bebop just because we all know what that is. A classic one and done story. Um, if you don't know who Spike is, which up until 6 months ago I didn't, shame on you.
Shame.
Jovan gave me an earful. He was like, "Fool, you ain't watch Cowboy Bebop?" I was like, "Nah,
right,
bro."
you know, we all got character flaws. I've got a few.
But nah, Cowboy Bebop is one because just from start to finish, it deals with a lot of, I think, what people were feeling through 2020 anyway with quarantining and the isolation. So I found myself kind of uh, going down the rabbit hole and just watching that, and I got hooked from start to finish. And I still think, I don't want to ruin it, but I think after almost 25 years, we all know how this ends, right?
You better
Like,
not say, dude. If you say it, I'm cutting off the podcast right now. Don't say it.
I mean, I thought it was one way. Vaughn says it's not.
All
So,
right.
but Cowboy Bebop and Akame ga Kill.
All right.
That's a newer anime. That is one and done. It ended in 2015. Don't think we're gonna get a second season ever. Not sure why, but it starts with a character named Tatsumi who goes into town with his friends and they're there to make money, come up a little bit. They get swindled, faded, and he gets taken in by some noble family. And this group of assassins named the Night Raid shows up, murders the whole family, right? And Tatsumi's, ready to defend, thinking like, what's going on. He's not sure what's happening because I think they imprisoned him. I have to go back and rewatch, but they revealed to him, the Night Raid reveals to him that, the family was about to torture and murder you, dude. Like, this is what they do, and this is what we do. We find wrong people who out here doing evil shit, and we rectify. So, it was solid. It was one of the newer animes that introduced me to characters that I instantly connected with and was like, they resonated. I'm just like, these characters are dope, well written, the development. And then one by one, you know, they rip your heart out bit by bit for those who watched it. Like, you don't get attached, but it is a good watch. It's a solid story. But I mean, get attached. I don't, that's your personal choice. But
No,
I just thought
he's
it was
telling
really,
you the truth. Don't get attached.
I just
What
thought it
show
was
is this
really
again?
well done for a one and done. So
What's the name of the show again?
that was a Kame Ga Kill, and I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
on
Okay, I watched
Netflix or
episodes of that.
Hulu. I can't recall.
It's on Netflix and Hulu, I think.
Okay, both. Yeah. But yeah, it was dope.
Everyone when he says don't get attached, don't do it. I mean,
What was it over the top for me? Like, was it a little bit more like the way the sequence of events unfolded was a little bit more intuitive than most shows? Like, I felt really, really attached to these characters. Like the way they just built up to everything, and I was just like, damn, one by one.
well, I think before I go, Banks, you got anything to say?
Oh, so yeah. My bad. Yeah. So like another one I think people should watch, which is one of my favorites. And it's not even like a shonen or like, well, yeah, it's a seinen, so it's right up my alley. It's Death Parade. So it's about,
Mm,
I don't know if y'all have watched this one or not, but it's pretty much about purgatory.
yeah, I did watch that. It
Yeah.
is
So
dope.
like what
Go ahead.
happens, and then like you go to this bar, pretty much, and you're waiting around, and they make you play this game to see if you're going to be reincarnated or sent to hell, and it tells these really sad stories about people's, sometimes tragic deaths and sometimes their selfish ways of dying. But when they actually get to purgatory, they realize like the wrong they have done.
Hmm.
But sometimes, even though they realize they've done wrong, they still don't change, so they get sent to hell. And then people who realize they've done wrong, they get reincarnated. But like, it's a really good show. It's like really, like y'all was just talking about, really drawn in characters, and like
Yeah,
these characters are only in the show for one episode, and you get really drawn
yeah,
into them. So it's like,
they're relatable. They're
Yeah,
like
so it's like
regular people. Like it's
it's
not
like
like fantasy or anything. They're regular people living everyday lives who just die and
yeah,
end up, at the gates.
and then being
So
able to pull you into that character with only one episode. I just it's
mm.
just like a really good writing, and then like and some of
What I
the
really like about that is how they do a good job at showing both sides, because you do get these situations where it might start off where it's a tearjerker and you're really leaning emotionally towards person A, but then you hear the other side of the story from person B's perspective, just like, oh hell,
yeah
like all sorts of it really exposes how none of us are perfect. We are all flawed. On the surface level, it may seem like some people have it all together on the surface level, or they're doing that much better, but behind closed doors, when you remove the walls of society, the constructs, when nothing is left but who you are, and you're left to deal with your own truth, that's what the show does a really good job at exposing these characters. And that's a recurring theme, I think, in life that we all have to constantly, every now and then come to and check ourselves about. Who are you when nobody's looking? When it's you all alone and you're looking at the man in the mirror, who are you when their eyes are not, like, you see people today on social media, they post these good deeds. You know, would you still do that if social media wasn't a thing? Is that just your character, or is it for the likes? I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. So going back to what you said, Will, I know we're not ranking, but if I had to rank a GOAT of one season anime, I'm putting Cowboy Bebop at number one. Just
Wouldn't disagree
because
with you. Honestly, I would not disagree for what it is.
just just because um I didn't appreciate it as much. I didn't appreciate it as a kid. Rewatched it as an adult and saw it like, man, this is gold. But just for the simple fact, so many of your favorite one season animes, they are Cowboy Bebop copies. And just to name a few, they're not on my list even, but they're still great one seasons. I don't know if you guys have them on your list. If you do, I apologize. But like Outlaw Star, Trigun, BEM, who we talked about in another episode. All great watches. Wouldn't
Mhm.
put them in my top tier best one season animes, but dope watches and Cowboy Bebop copies.
Mm.
bro. You saying Trigun is a Cowboy Bebop copy?
In what aspects? Like just the formula of three main characters and
I would
the
say
adventure, or
I would say um, the main character in Trigun and Spike, they kind of have similar personalities to me, kind of like carefree, um, comedic, like go lucky or whatnot, but will still, if you cross them, it's just not good luck.
I'm gonna have to disagree on that one.
would you put or go ahead, Banks counter, because I was gonna ask something to follow what Carl just said, just out of curiosity, but Banks got a disagreement. Uh-oh.
Bash the Stampede is in no way like Spike Siegel. Like
Ooh.
Bash is like cartoonish comedic, and Spike is not like I don't
Bebop was very noir, like very
yeah,
dark.
like Bebop is like it's like jazz club like it is like you can when you watch Cowboy Bebop, you can tell it's made for adults. Bash the Stampede when he's being funny and being they do they animation to make him comedic. You can tell it's targeted towards a younger, not necessarily like small children, but like a younger teenage audience. And some of the stuff, even though it has serious stuff in it, like those shows are completely different. Like I'm not. I love Cowboy Bebop, and I do agree with the Outlaw Star how like it's kind of like a copy of Bebop, but just like in a different way. But yeah, not I don't agree with that one on Trigun. Cause even like his powers, he like this man has powers. Like on the surface level, he can shoot a gun, but like and you get into it, it's like this man. I understand why they call him the humanoid typhoon because he literally be destroying whole cities with one gunshot. So it's like I don't know about that one. He's not even a bounty hunter. He's the one that's getting hunted. So yeah, I don't know about that one, Carl. I'm going to watch
Hey,
it again. I haven't watched it since
so
96, 2004.
My next show I want to mention as
Wait,
far
Carl.
as
Actually, I wanted to ask you on the one and does. You would put Cowboy Bebop because you've watched them both over Death Note or Samurai Champloo.
uh
Not saying
first
that it's a singular goat, but I mean, I would equally put those up there in goat status. But when you if
so
you had to pick between those,
I would put Cowboy Bebop above Samurai Chuplo just because they're essentially one and the same. Like they're essentially it's just Samurai Chuplo is simply I'm not saying like it's like brick for brick copy, but the blueprint is there. Like you can see the signs that they studied or watched some Cowboy Bebop and they took
Well,
the
I mean, those are two made by the same person. So Champloo and Bebop were made by the same person.
you can
well, that
tell.
might be why. That might be why they. But Champloo came off a little bit lighthearted to me, more lighthearted than Bebop.
Yeah, I love
Not
Champloo.
quite as, but
I don't know. Maybe I just got a different vibe from Cowboy Bebop just because, or it could be the fact that like it's a little older, so making things for adults back then doesn't seem may not be as like serious as like today's like things for adults. So I don't. I mean, a lot. I know don't get me wrong. I know there are serious moments in Cowboy Bebop, but like, I mean, I have a lighthearted vibe when I watch it. A lot of times.
you are a dark individual, Carl. You watched Cowboy Bebop and had a lighthearted vibe. Yo, that's my guy, Carl, bro. Yo, get a round of applause for Carl, man. That's my guy.
Mhm.
Because if anybody who's seen Cowboy Bebop, yo, that's golden, fam. I feel you.
I'm
All
I'm
right.
just okay. Like I'm just okay. Stay with me here. Okay, so
I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's
take
go.
for example, just take Dragon Ball Z, which a lot of people was their first anime watching. Take the characters, take just characters like Frieza and Vegeta, whatnot. Those are some brutal characters. When you think we don't think about it because we grew up with them, but when you think about like what they actually did to certain characters, when you think about just the beating Frieza put on Vegeta right before he died, like I mean, after really, I mean, when you think about that, just think about Cowboy Beat. That's lighthearted compared to that. If to
For
me,
those who don't know, removing the American censorship, if you grew up watching the original Japanese versions and subtitles of DBZ, it is not as kiddie. I mean, it still has those elements, but you get a lot more blood. The violence is a little bit more on par. The Cell Saga is very dark. There's a whole part where he's literally eating people, like going around town to town. So that's what we're referring to. Yeah, I could see that, but I don't think DBZ was ever directly dealing with those noir themes. Like it had points throughout the series or some movies where it would touch on those, and like I don't think we ever get a real exploration through any of the characters on what it's like to actually deal with the fact that your planet is gone. Like Vegeta's always so prideful and representing for Saiyans, but we don't ever get an actual story arc that talks about what it feels like to know you are literally the last of your kind. In fact, our main characters act as if whatever. Like we the best, we still here. It don't matter. We running things, but that would make somebody go crazy. I would think. Literally knowing your planet, like, and you had to work for that mug. Like he blew your whole planet up, blew all your homies away.
okay. So in all this, I've
Y'all have
been
no take on that at all.
No, I'm because it's in the show. Because like Vegeta hates everybody, so
Uh,
Vegeta hates everybody.
yeah
Like when he first comes to Earth, like he hates everybody. So
yeah.
yeah,
So
he's pretty ruthless. Like when he first comes to Earth.
so my next recommendation for best one season animes, Juni Taisen Zodiac War.
Yo, that's my show, dog. That's my
you
show.
mentioned this before. Go ahead, Carl.
So a little overview. So just reading like just the overall basic plot. In a city of 500,000 people, who have all been removed. 12 of the deadliest mercenary warriors with the names attributed to the Chinese zodiac animals are pitted against each other um, in the 12th zodiac tournament, which takes place every 12 years. Basic overview, so you get it, but a lot of it's obviously a lot more complicated than that. But a dope watch. I would recommend it for anybody. Anybody watch that show.
Yeah, I second that recommendation. That's my show. Like, yeah, and it just said like a lot of people don't talk about it. From what I be hearing, so that's really what I know everybody loves
Why do
like
we
the
never?
OG Cowboy Bebop and Champloo and stuff like that. But like, I really be trying to like bring up stuff people haven't watched. Because even though I love Champloo and Bebop, like those are always going to get recommended. So I appreciate you, Carl, for bringing up some stuff that's not always on the fronts of people's minds. Like,
Are we going to
content.
get a second season for that?
No, that's over.
I
So they
heard.
told that whole story in one season.
Yeah, it's like
Well,
it's done.
yeah. Well, I heard there may be a second season, but I don't. I think
But
that
it's
was just
definitely not going to be the same characters. And if you watch the show, you know why. Definitely
yeah.
not going to be the same characters.
Yeah. So Will's up.
We've talked about this one before, but another one of mine is High School of the Dead. It's unfortunate that the creator passed away and the studio left that, but as in terms of an anime that sucks you right in from the jump and kind of puts you right into the action with the characters. First episode, all mayhem kind of breaks loose. And again, I'm always a sucker for a good zombie survival type story. What up?
Fair warning, guys, who are not adults living at home and whatnot. Do not watch this in front of your parents. Uh,
Or your kids.
Oh, was
High
it that
School of
bad?
the Dead.
I mean, I know the characters were overdrawn in some instances, but I don't recall anything being like triple X rated.
No, it's not triple X, but like it's pretty gruesome. Like, not gruesome, because it's not like, but it's pretty.
Think about all the
graphic.
stuff that's out there. Like, what are we
Yeah,
saying
it's
is
like,
gruesome?
but it's pretty graphic, especially like the first couple episodes. It's like, it may not be everybody's cup of tea.
Now, y'all have that confused with Food Wars. I started watching that with Raina. Cut it off immediately.
Food
Y'all haven't
Wars?
watched Food Wars, have you?
No, bro.
No.
The name
Yeah,
alone.
okay. Now
Sounds like,
that's borderline anime porn. That's what that is. Almost hentai. That's what that is. And it's like that through the entire show. Like the it's a cooking competition. That's what they do. They're cooking, but all of their actions are everything is sexual innuendos. It's just over the top. Like when they eat something that tastes good, you see all of this. Like, damn, dude, like Sailor Moon transformation. But like, okay, it's not. Which I heard it was good, entertaining, but not something to watch with a 6-year-old. So, but yeah. But High School of the Dead is one for me. And I don't know if we'll ever get a second season or if they ever finish the story. The creator passed away. So.
yeah, I think usually when stuff like when the creator dies, I think they just leave it as is. I don't think they.
And not to put some respect on his name, that was Daisuke Sato. So
Did you finish his name or did you cut out? It sounded like you cut
that's
out.
it. Daisuke Sato, I think I'm pronouncing that. And illustrated by Shoji Sato.
hey,
Yeah,
thanks.
next one. I'm sorry. One that I've watched that I would recommend y'all watch is a show called Batoon. So it's BTOOM.
BTOOM.
Yeah.
Oh, Batum. Okay.
Batoon. So I just wanted to spell it that way people heard what I said or if they're looking for it. But it's pretty much Survivor. But they're killing. So it's like these people are picked up and dropped off on the island, and they pretty much have to kill each other to survive on the island. But they don't know who's behind putting them on the island and stuff like that. So I mean, we've seen shows like this before, but just this one it was really good because like the animation was really well done. It's not like the animation's really well done and it's graphic, and I kind of like graphic because when you do graphic in anime, you have to like really be detail oriented. You don't have to, but usually when they do graphic, they're more realistic looking. They're more detail oriented because when they do certain scenes, it has to look really good. So this one was just a good show that I enjoyed watching. So I think that's something that people should give a chance. It's on, I think it's on Crunchyroll, Netflix. I think it's on Netflix and Hulu. I think it's on all three of them. So if people are like looking for something to watch, it's a one and done. So I think it's about 12 episodes. You should give it a shot.
How do we feel about one and done's? Truthfully,
I like one and
Good and
done.
bad. So
Go ahead.
the love and hate relationship with them.
Not me. I love them. Like
I'm good as long as they tell the story.
yeah, tell
Like if the
you can tell
story
the
is
story.
start to finish, I can't complain. Like Claymore, I want a little more from Claymore, but I believe the way they left that, I think that story's over. So
Cause like
Nah, man. Give us
cause who
more,
like
man.
no,
I'm sorry.
cause like who needs a little engine that could too? Right?
yeah,
You don't need a
that
little engine
that's
that could too.
that's
You
where I
know
get lost there when they start trying to force it and filler, and you get all that unnecessary BS. Like just give me the story and
It
stick to the
could
raw
just
action.
some stories can be told in one season. If they can, if you can do it good, then do it. I don't need to watch this show for 9 years for it to end. Naruto. I don't need to
Okay.
watch 9 seasons.
So
Tell me in two.
I think Cowboy Bebop is great at one season, but Will just mentioned Claymore. I could have used a second season of Claymore. I feel like just too many things not solved yet to me.
I wouldn't have minded, but again, if I'm
I'm
left
gonna go
with the
watch that
open
again.
endings, you know,
Yeah, but and Will's right. I don't know if he hit this, but like Claymore is definitely a one season anime you need to watch.
give us a rundown on the surface, Carl.
Um, man, there's so many just and I don't want to get anything wrong, but basically, um, they're demons, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
dude,
she's
does that happen to you a lot where you watch so much stuff you mix
watched so
up
much
sometimes?
stuff.
Because I confused Claymore with like two other enemies before I had to go back and look like, oh yeah, that's right. But yes, they are demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
a demon, but she counts
So
as a demon.
basically, demons are pretty much ravaging like the land and like the church. They create claymores, which are basically women who have demon blood within them that give them abilities to fight these demons. But the only bad part is if they access too much of the demon blood within them, they'll turn themselves. And that the goal basically is to last as long as you can. And when you reach your breaking point where you're about to like become the thing that you're hunting, to basically just like end your life and call it quits before you like do more good than harm before you do more harm than good. And the main character basically gets involved and becomes a claymore because someone close to her is basically who was a claymore who she looked up to was killed
Mm.
by another claymore who turns into a demon.
Worth the watch. Long
It
story
is.
short, good action, surprise twist, um, dope power skill sets. I do like when the skill set matches up to the warrior and the lore. I hate overpowered characters, even though I do love One Punch Man, and he's a living spoof of that
He's not.
very
He's not.
trope.
He's not. He's not overpowered. He earned that power.
Nah, he is a mockery of everything that we love about anime, but it works. It works. It does work for some reason. Like it hasn't gotten old yet. It hasn't gotten old yet. I'll say that. Like it's still interesting to see Saitama, these villains get all hyped up and puff their chests out, and then one punch just a whole world is wrecked. But yeah, Claymore, check that out. Y'all got any more one and done's? Because
Yes.
Yeah, I got
I've got a
plenty.
few on these anime moments.
Yeah. I got as far as like one season, I'll go with something that's more classic. Um and the next ones you'll probably hear from me. Like if you're just starting out in anime, you want to get involved in something, or you want to recommend something for someone to start, I would recommend them watch this show. This is one of the classic one season animes to me, and that is Parasite. Uh,
Maxim
Yeah,
or the
that's a good one too.
yeah, Parasite. I didn't think you were into horror anime. It's good call, Carl. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Parasite is a
Yeah,
dope watch for somebody who's starting out.
Yeah.
You got a little bit of everything. You've got character development, characters you fall in love with, action, like Will said, there's some horror involved. Um, but basically, in a nutshell, what happens is parasites come to Earth and they bond with humans, and their main goal is to basically take over the human's brain and basically take over that human altogether, completely wiping that person out. But the kicker part is if they don't reach the brain in time, what'll happen to them is they'll die. So to prevent from dying, they'll just fuse with another part of the human being's body. So the main character, he doesn't make it. His parasite doesn't make it to his brain, so he's still a normal functioning human being, but his parasite lives in his hand.
Mm. And it's somewhat unexplained as to what the purpose is because it doesn't seem like it's a hive mind of parasitic creatures that are trying to take over the world in entirety. They are quite literally just parasites.
yeah, they're
Like their sole
parasites, but they're
purpose is to
also
latch
trying to.
on and survive. That's all they're doing. So you get parasites fighting other parasites, just because they can absorb or take on other parasites, can't they? If they kill them or something like that.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to. They were when the parasites get to Earth, they're looking for a host and trying to
Mhm.
become the strongest parasite to be the ruler. That's really what that's their goal.
Okay,
But
okay. Because I didn't think they were trying
that's
to
why
like.
you have like a elevation of like people that he fights are getting stronger and stronger, kind of like
Mhm.
a tournament style. But like as the show gets on, he fights stronger and stronger people because the parasites are just looking for the strongest host. So they're trying to become like the strongest of their kind, and then like take over whatever they have, take over the Earth. So
Speaking of, Parasite itself was a good movie. If y'all didn't catch that independent film, cleaned up at the Oscars last year. Um, just to be warned, Parasite is a horror anime though.
yeah,
So I want if you're new to this and you're gonna check that out and think it's gonna be happy go lucky, in the first episode or two, they go there. And when I say go there, I mean set the tone in which I will spoil this one little bit, but you see like a kid get killed, and usually I say go there, referencing to that. Anytime y'all hear me say in reference to any movie, any anime, any comic, they go there. Usually, when they cross that line, for me, that's everything is out the window. I don't know what's going to happen next, and I expect whatever. Expect the unexpected because typically going there that early in a show kind of gives you the idea that yeah, we're telling a very dark, grim story here. Because truth be told, it is what would happen if there was some sort of parasitic invasion and one happened to take over an unsuspecting new mother, who doesn't understand, taking care of or caring for a child, and that's not your purpose or intent. Then yeah, the dark side of that would happen. Um,
Yeah.
Rex, you
Do you
got one
guys
more?
do you guys have any more you want to add? Because there are at least like two more I want to say that I would recommend for people
My
who are new to anime.
yeah. I go
Go
with
ahead, Beck.
Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann is like Gurren Lagann is like a kind of like a mech show, but it's like an adventure mech show. So the whole show is not about mechs. So what it is like this kid, uh, in this the main characters live underground. Most people were forced to live underground. If not, they'll get taken over by the evil powers that be. So they live underground, and then they dig holes looking for food and stuff like that. Um, but one day the main character finds like a old piece to a mech, and he turns it on by accident, and then it shoots him out of the sky. It shoots him out of the ground, and when it shoots him out of the ground, it shows him the surface for the first time. So he's never been above ground before, so he sees like the sun and stuff like that. So he goes out and pretty much tries to. Oh man, that really hurt. He goes out and tries to just exploring, and then of course, with him exploring, he comes across people trying to stop him and kidnap him and stuff like that and take his stuff. But yeah, it's a good show. So
I've got one.
Shoot.
ReZero. Starting life in
ReZero.
another world. Yeah, ReZero. My man Subaru Natsuki. Or Natsuki or whatever. So it takes place it focuses on our main character who one day coming home from a convenience store, he just gets transported, summoned to another world. And it's a fantasy-like world. Shortly, and he's introduced to the royal family, and he's taken in by this noble family. Yeah, they are the royal family. Vaughn, you watched ReZero, haven't you?
no, I've,
Banks?
I've watched a couple episodes of ReZero, and then
Remind me, is Amelia? They're the royal family. Yeah, because she becomes next in line. They're a noble family high up, but she somehow becomes next. This other protagonist, Amelia, is next in line at some point to become the ruler of this new world, this new kingdom, Lugenica or whatever. But shortly after he arrives, bro gets murked, and so what sets off is a chain of events where he realizes that every time he is killed, he has the power to turn back time to change something because there's something specific that he's working towards a goal, not to ruin it, but um, it it started off one way, dude, and I was kind of just expecting this adventure story, like, okay, bro, gonna get some powers and he gonna do something, and it really is just about this regular ass dude dealing with the struggle of not being strong enough in a new world, but he keeps trying, because it is a specific quest he's on to help, and it's a kind of about love in the end. I think that's one of the tropes, at least, but themes, but she's something like a witch, or somehow this curse, this ability for him to go back in time is placed on him by a witch. So every time he progresses and does something, he thinks things are going well, but if he zigs when he should have zagged, he gets killed. And the catch is he feels and remembers all of it, but the people around him don't. So he can do ABC. He gets killed. He comes back. He knows such and such killed him. They have no idea. So he goes about trying to redirect the chain of events to, stop that from happening. But it's like watching him slowly deal with that nightmare of being trapped in a reality where you literally it's kind of like Groundhog Day take or Happy Death Day. He's reliving the same shit over and over to an extent as he, goes on his quest. But it's a good start and one and done because they told that story from start to finish. But a good intro anime that's not your typical action-packed, high volume, but just a good story. Totally. Yeah, so ReZero is one.
Thanks.
It's me again. Okay, then I'm going to. I got a couple more, but what I'm gonna go with is another.
We do need to pivot, guys, because we've been on this for 40 minutes.
I don't care. We're doing it live. But no, all jokes aside, but no, another is I'll make this my last one. Just like, it's about this girl who is new to her school, and she's kind of weird to the kids, I guess.
What's the name of it?
Another.
Oh no, okay, I didn't peep that.
Yeah, and then like what starts happening is murders start happening within the school.
Hello.
So basically the kids are trying to escape the school before they die, and then because it's something to do with like it's a supernatural like horror type anime.
And where can we view this?
You can look at this on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Another, you say? You had me sold when you said kids getting murdered. I was like, in school? What? Hey, well, I recently watched Danganronpa. What's the Killer Panda? Danganronpa with the Killer Panda. How do you what's the name of it?
I don't know.
The Killer Panda.
The Killer Panda. It's a video game turned anime.
I don't know.
Danganronpa or whatever. God, y'all know what I'm talking about.
I'll look it up though.
Danganronpa, yeah, it's a video game. Where the kids end up in the school and the principal is that killer looking teddy bear panda or whatever, black and white. You never heard of it?
I'm gonna watch it now.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. It's a whodunit because these kids are in the school trying to solve a crime. But it's not a one and done. There are different seasons because it's a different story, but each season is a different aspect of the same one story. So you have some characters who return for a season or two, but then there's a prequel season. Like each one's its own, but that theme is basically somebody has rigged this high school full of death traps, and the kids have to solve they're kind of put on a trial, like because it's to determine who's the most honest and who's actually like the good kid of the bunch. And all of them have secrets, and they're given lockers, and they have to. The murders are going to keep happening. Like they're told that hey, somebody's going to die every so and so. Y'all have enough food, water to survive here. They're trapped in the school, right? You try to escape, you get murked. You don't do what I say, you get murked. You try to kill me, you get murked. Anything can happen, you getting killed, right? But as the murders keep happening, they have to kind of play trial, and they keep coming together to decide, and they have to pick or choose. And it's like if you're wrong, the one who accuses gets killed. But if it determines that they're right, then whoever is on trial gets killed. But you could be wrong. So it literally becomes this whole game of, but dog and ramp. That's why I said the kids get murdered. Like that type of stuff is just interesting to me. Putting these kids in these.
If you like that one, you can watch Corpse Party too. So
Corpse Party.
Corpse Party. It's a little darker than another, but I like that one too. So
the Dog and Rampa has its jokes. It's dark, but it has like on the nose jokes. So plus a cute murdery teddy bear that's doing everything.
Okay, so another great. If you're another one that's great. If you're recommending somebody just start out in anime, or if you want to get into anime, you haven't watched anything. A great watch, Afro Samurai.
That was 2 seasons.
I thought it was 1 season.
That was 2.
It was 1 season in a movie.
Yeah, it's 1 season in a movie.
I thought that was 2 seasons split up in a movie.
It's 1 season.
I had that on our list, but I really didn't mention it because I thought it was 2 seasons.
It's 1 season in the movie. I mean, the movie could have pretty much been the second season, but
I mean, when Samuel L. Jackson does the voice, what's better than that? If y'all were wondering what it's about, number 1, number 2, Black Samurai. There's these bandanas, and whoever's number 1 is the baddest MF in the land, and everybody's at his neck trying to be number 1. So
great watch. If you want to get into anime, you cannot go wrong with Afro Samurai.
All right.
I think that's one thing I like about One and Done's. It's like it's good for people who haven't really watched a lot of it and like aren't invested into it. So it's like, well, I'm not finna recommend One Piece to somebody who it's your first anime. So like nobody's gonna.
I wouldn't recommend One Piece to somebody who's seasoned in anime unless you really, because I'm watching One Piece and I gotta be honest right now. I know it's gonna pick up, but I'm just like,
it's a lot of
same with Naruto. It's a struggle watching the earliest seasons, like right now. But I know it's gonna get good progressively. I know it is. It's just like
it's a lot.
But yeah, we need to pivot because we've been on that for an hour.
Good. This means it was a good topic.
Yeah, that's a lot. Top anime moments, man.
What?
Top anime moments. And I'll preface this. We're not going to spend another hour on this to our listeners. But for my personally, I didn't even dive into the OG bag. I thought about the last 5 or 6 new animes I've watched. And I came up with just under 40 moments that I was just like,
under 40? What?
Just under 40.
What? Thanks.
I'm not talking about all these. These are just different moments as we talk about some of these. I'm just gonna throw out there, but
I got a lot too.
Hey, I was just like, yo, that's where I stopped at. Like I was thinking about it. I was like, yo, some of these new waves have some iconic ass moments.
I'm just saying, but every moment can't make the list though.
We said top anime moments. What are you talking about? This is top anime moments.
Think about how much anime you've actually watched, and then think about only I'm not saying I'm gonna do 45, 60 moments, but like I had a lot on my list. And I was like, and I'm like from there, I'm like, man, what can I? And it's not like Will said, I'm not even like looking at like super old stuff because like unless you my age, you probably ain't never watched it.
Facts.
Like a lot of
like case in point, we could do a whole episode on all the Dragon Ball Z moments or Gundam moments. Or like that, like I didn't even go back to the OG bag. I sat and I was just like looking at all the new wave stuff, and I'll kick it off. I'll start with Demon Slayer because I went back and watched this shit today. The Mugen Train movie, Tanjiro versus Rui, and the Rengoku fight. Bro, that's some of the hardest shit I ever seen in my life. Please edit the curse words.
Oh, come on. I mean, listen.
No, it was well done, dude.
I'm not saying it wasn't well done. Like I love Demon Slayer. Like I'm and the Tanjiro versus Rui fight where he does like when he mixes in like the Kagura dance thing like at the end. Yeah, that's dope. I'm just saying like I wouldn't even okay, so I just don't look at it even if I was doing like a top 10 of modern anime, I would have to really consider if that would make the list. Even that fight with Rengoku, like that's a dope fight, but I mean, you almost expect a fight like that in a movie this big at some point.
What I didn't expect was for him to die. And also, let's look at the fact that Mugen Train is really the continuation filler until they can get this next season out because it took off the way it did. But not in a particular list order. It's just that was a dope ass like for Demon Slayer. That was a dope ass moment right off the bat that got like it hooked me. Seeing Rengoku, his resolve, and what really his character in general from the jump when they introduced him, you could tell he's kind of that got one of those dudes who's just got the fortitude. Like he's about that. He's really benevolent and he lives that. Inside and out. His core values are strong. Um, his mentorship in that short time to Tanjiro just kind of getting him hooked up, and then Inosuke, his sister, like the whole cultivation and culmination of what it's about. Because Tanjiro is very much dealing, for those who don't know, dealing with the fact that he's walking around. His sister got turned into a demon after his family got murdered, but he's joined this Demon Slayer corps, and like they're looking at him like, "Yo, dude, we slay demons. Like, what you doing with your sister? Like, what the hell?" So the stamp of approval at the end. Because in a lot of ways in this first fight, Tanjiro finds his resolve. Like we see him building up to these moments where we know he's going to be that guy eventually. But this particular fight with Rui, he digs deeper, comes out on top, and I'm just Demon Slayer's new, so I wasn't expecting what direction they were going to go. Were we going to get like an Asta-like character who's always self-doubting, blah blah blah, or are we going to get a character a little more resolved? But it was just a dope moment. That entire fight, and no spoilers, but watch it. To see how it plays out with. I actually already said he died. So
Banks, do you think that's a top anime moment?
I mean, it's not up to me if I think it's top end.
Yes, you argue with yourself, Carl. You argue with yourself, bro.
How about since Carl, how about you just tell us yours and we'll go from there? Because like, what's some of your top moments? Because like,
and that's just one I'm throwing out for Demon Train.
Yeah,
Demon Slayer, but we don't have to stay with Demon Slayer. If y'all want to just throw something out there.
You don't have to like definitely. I'm saying, Carl, I want to hear yours because like, because I got a lot too, and I didn't even go back.
Wait till we get to Attack on Titan. Moments.
I would say a top anime moment for me was when in Inuyasha, Inuyasha's injured. He's got the Tetsaiga. It breaks, like the demon bites it in half, and then he reverts to his demon form, which nobody has ever seen before. And he basically turns the demon into cat food after it broke his father's sword. Like I feel like that was a dope moment to me.
Okay, what's another one? Cause like I ain't gonna. That's why I didn't go back into old animes. Cause like most people now probably ain't even watched Inuyasha. I love Inuyasha, but like if I was, let's say if I'm 13 right now, 14, 15, 20 years old right now, they probably ain't ever watched Inuyasha. They came out like 96.
Yeah. Another thing they have the benefit of today, the technology. Like before I watched Demon Slayer, I saw GIFs and just people posting Rengoku. Like just everybody was talking about this moment before I even got a chance to watch it. So that's what led me to.
Okay, so if we're going with Demon Slayer, I felt like a bigger moment in Demon Slayer to me was when Final Selection he's fighting that massive demon and he realizes that Tomoro and the two people he was training with, they're dead, and this demon had killed him.
Mhm.
And like he's basically just like, nah, like I gotta take this dude out. Like, and that was like his first like major kill of anything. Like, because, and I'm not saying like that fight with Rui wasn't like major or whatnot, but he didn't win that.
What's it have to do with it being a moment?
No, I'm saying like I feel like to me, I feel like that
So he has to
fight,
win the fight for it to be a top moment for you. Because Rengoku didn't win his fight either.
Carl said, "What the fuck? Yes."
Rengoku didn't win his fight either.
I don't consider that a top
We're
moment.
not
though.
celebrating
I mean,
no
it's
L's.
yours, but
Banks, what you got?
Okay, so one of my top moments. If you ain't watched it, you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm looking at you too. So if you've never watched this, America, shame on you. Megalobox season 1 when Saicho is like screaming at Joe, like, you promised me you would do this, and then Joe like takes off, because like pretty much on this part, Joe is gonna throw the fight because he has to, or else he's gonna get he has to throw the fight, or else somebody's gonna get killed. And then Joe's about to throw the fight, and then Saicho's like, you promised me, you told me you're gonna take me to Megalonia, blah blah blah. And then Joe just like, he gets punched in the face and he's about to fall, and then he hears Saicho and he just goes, you know what, screw it. And then he just
found the eye of the tiger.
Hey, you could have played eye of the tiger over that part, and he heard.
You went full Rocky, bro.
Yeah, he heard Saicho over there in the corner, egging him on, because I was kind of feeling the same way. I was like, Joe, don't do it, Joe, don't do it.
Yeah, integrity goes a long way for me.
Yeah,
I'll never compromise.
And integrity kicked in, and he flipped up. He turned up on that boy real quick and knocked that man out. That was, that was one of the turning points of the show. That's like one of my favorite parts of that show. So definitely.
Megalobox went hard.
Yeah, Megalobox was hard. I need to watch the new season, because first season, I'm just scared that the second season is gonna let me down on the first season. That's the only reason I ain't watched it yet.
All right, I got another one. Which I want, Attack on Titan or Hunter x Hunter?
Man, we don't talk about that H anime here. All right.
I'm talking about Hunter x Hunter. Then I'm gonna go for it.
Lord.
Look here. Gon soloing Pito is one of the hardest things I've ever seen in my life. For those who don't know, so Hunter x Hunter came out 2011. It was very light at first, had some darker moments in the early ways. There was a reboot later that is noticeably darker. This is what I'm talking about. The Chimera Ant arc. Pito is one of the top 3 Chimera Ants under King Miramura, I think. And Gon, our main character, has he looks up to this character, Kite. And early on, when they're in the NGL kind of going after the king or making their way towards the king, they encounter Pito, and Pito is pretty powerful. A fight ensues. Kite's also powerful, but we don't actually see the fight, but we see at the end Pito talking out loud, and when the camera pans out, she's holding Kite's head in her lap. Gon takes that personal because Kite was like a strong, heavy mentor to him. And, fast forward, when it comes to his moment, like he pulls up on Pito and waits, like, because she needs to heal this character that's important to Komagi. She's important to the king, which, it's a side story on its own. But she strikes a deal with Gon, tells him, hey, let me finish what I'm doing and I'll get you your retribution. We're going to square up. And she's confident, thinking she's going to wash Gon. Gon is there to fight and then have her resurrect or heal Kite. She reveals to him that she can't do that. It's not how her nin works. And what transpires is Gon goes beyond dark level. He strikes some sort of deal that leaves him completely charred, but he's able to age himself. He's a kid. He's able to age himself in power and strength to an age where he would be able to beat Pito. And what ensues is they go out to the woods, and grown Super Saiyan S Gon gets all glass-eyed, and he kind of one-punch solos her. She attacks, a kick to the stomach sends her up, and on the way down, he catches her right smack dab to the face. And it's bad when the character is talking. Like Pito on her way down is thinking out loud of, my death could be worse. She gets smacked into a tree, and we get to a point where Killua walks up on Gon, and he hears these punches. The earth is trembling, right? Gon is out there rock, paper, scissoring, just beating what's not even left to a head anymore into the ground because he is so stirred by the loss of Kite. And it was just a heavy, dark, deep moment, bro. And well done, well executed story wise and all that. And I had to give it up like that. YouTube it if you hadn't seen it, but Gon, Solo, and Pito, one of the hardest moments I've seen in the anime.
Thanks.
What's up?
Your turn, man. Your turn, man.
Did you watch it, Banks? Did you see what you said? You watched the whole Chimera Ant.
I seen Hunter, dog. I seen
That wasn't hard when he murked Pito, bro. Tell me it wasn't hard,
bro. I've seen Hunter.
Answer the question. It wasn't hard.
It was okay, bro. Like I've seen that before. That's all I'm saying. Like I've seen
You
stuff
being
like that.
modest. You being modest.
I'm not being, bro. Look, I'm finna be real with everybody. I want y'all to listen. It's a serious announcement right here. Serious time. Hunter is overrated.
It is.
Gasp.
Overrated.
I've seen this argument online where people say it's one of the best, and then people say it's overrated. I personally think it falls right in the middle. It's a good show. That's it.
It's a decent show. I'm not saying
it's a good show with some good moments.
But like for people to be like, oh, it's top 10, and then you start naming shows that came out around the same time. It's like, is Hunter better than this show? They will be like, no. So if I just name 10 animes that Hunter is not better than, that came out in the same era as this anime, how the hell is Hunter the best anime ever?
I don't know about a top 10 or best ever. I've seen people engaging in that discussion, but it's just a good show. I'm on record saying it's a good show. It's entertaining.
And I give it its credit for being a good show.
Yeah, watch it.
Sometimes when you talk to people who watch anime, if they haven't watched a lot of anime, they always put Hunter in their top 10 shows, and I'll be like, yo, that's not a top 10 show. And they're like, why? And I'm like, bro, there's like 60 animes that are just like Hunter that came out before Hunter.
The similarities are very evident. Like it's right on the nose. You can tell exactly what it borrows from. Just like, but
yeah, because like even like Yu Yu Hakusho, you ask people, is Hunter better than Yu Yu Hakusho? They be like, no. And it's like, well, Hunter can't be the best anime you've seen if you've seen Yu Yu Hakusho, and it's not better than Yu Yu Hakusho. It was made by the same person. The reason I think so many people gravitate towards Hunter because the original one wasn't good. Like the animation wasn't good. So like that's why it kind of like drifted off. Like compared to these other shows that like shot into superstardom like Dragon Ball Z and Gundam, it's because the animation wasn't good. The stories aren't better than those either, but like I think when they redid the animation in 2010, was it 10 or 13, and they put it on Netflix, and it was like one of the only shows on there, I think people gravitated towards it because it was on there, and I think it's more of a recency bias more so than I think this is the best show I've, because it's a good show, but it's not like the greatest anime ever, like people be saying it is online.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it is a good show.
It's super overrated, and I think it's.
Look, I need to get into some of the. I don't know where the overrated, because like I said, I would just call it a good show. It's entertaining. It's got some good story arcs and some good moments, if you will. Carl, you up?
Almost got kicked out of a clubhouse room for saying that. That's how I know it's overrated. When people ready to fight over it, like
it's Banks' turn.
Noobs.
So one of my favorite anime moments is in G Gundam when Domo finds out that his brother's still alive and that he's like the last Gundam he has to fight. So if you haven't watched G Gundam, it's a very it's a tournament style Gundam show. Highly recommend that one too, which is a one and done. But yeah, he finds out that his brother's still alive, and you know this whole time he's been fighting in this tournament because his brother died, and he's trying to find out what happened to him. So he goes into the tournament, get answers, and he fights this cryptic Gundam who's like everybody's fearful of. And, you know, he goes in, he's like, I'm not scared, you know, because I'm doing this for my brother. And then towards the end, he finds out that it is his brother. And then he has to use, you know, that good old burning fist, you know, special move on him to free him from his trap. I think it was kind of like a trap. It was kind of like a crypt that the Gundam was acting as. They was keeping them alive. So yeah, one of my favorite moments. Burning Fist Gundam. But yeah, I'm sorry, I just nerded out a little bit. I mean, geeked out a little bit right there. But yeah,
That's what we do here, Banks.
it's what we do here. I'm proud of it.
Okay.
Dweeb.
Oh,
Shut up.
Banks,
Shut
you
up, you Hunter
inspired.
Hunter fan.
It's a good show.
So Banks, you inspired me. Okay. So
Sorry, Carl. That
Banks,
wasn't towards you. What's up?
so Banks, you inspired me since you mentioned Gundam. I'm gonna go. This is older. I don't care. One of my favorite moments: Gundam Wing, Epion versus Zero One, where it's not the first time they fought, but the last battle at the ending of the season, where all the marbles are on the table, and pretty much these are the two most powerful suits in the show. Whoever is gonna win this fight, possibly they might win the war. You could say, or you could make the argument that even if 0-1 loses, that is his side is going to win. But still, fight is dope. Um, Not sure who wins, and even at the end where Hero Yui wins, he doesn't necessarily even take the time to destroy Zex. He's like, all right, you can't mess with me, man. Hey, we this
I'm
is
that
like
dude.
I don't know the third or fourth time we fought. Hey, I'm the king.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows. I love Gundam, but yeah.
All right. I
Will,
got
don't
another
bring
one.
up Hunter x Hunter again, dog. Don't do
No, I
it.
got a
You ain't
few
got nothing
from I
to bring up.
covered two of those. What Killer Kite's death and Gone versus Pito. I've got a few more, but I'll circle back to those. Like I said, I've got a list, dog. I'm not sure I want to pivot to yeah, let's go. All right. I'm gonna dive into Attack on Titan. Uh Levi versus Annie, the
Versus
female Titan.
Annie.
Yeah, when his
Okay.
whole crew got murked and he came back and avenged them. Really, Captain Levi has nothing but moments in Attack on Titan.
You
Like
say,
everything that
is
He's a
there a time
walking
Captain
dub, bro.
Levi doesn't go off?
yeah, it's like Captain Levi does nothing but go off,
Levi is
son.
a
But
walking dub, bro.
yeah, big facts, dog. Like, every time he turned around, because I had that moment. The moment because we see Annie wrecking absolute hell. Now I can't recall if it's revealed that it's actually Annie at that time at this point in the story. But
It
Levi's
looked just.
whole
I
squad,
always thought that was Annie. It looked just like her.
yeah, I mean, it looked just like her, but pretend we're them and we don't know, right? She's running through the woods, fleeing through, and Levi's his squadron is in hot pursuit, and they are with it, and they're supposed to be the elites, and they get murked one by one, pretty brutal too. Every death in Attack on Titan hits, but at some point, Levi gets his retribution where he gets to square off with Annie and he shows her exactly why he is Captain effing Levi. He's got this specific little spin move he does, dual sword, dual blade that just shreds, gets a little Achilles tendon action, slicing up a ligament stuff, just really broke her down and forced her hand. And, I've got another mention with another Levi boss fight, but everything Captain Levi did in Attack on Titan, flawless victories. So
But
that's
yeah,
just another one.
sticking with Attack on Titan because sorry, one of my moments came from Attack on Titan too. But mine is more so like um, I think it was season 3 when when Aaron finally sees the Titan that ate his mama, and
Yeah.
he gets the power to like he's like
Yeah.
he reaches that point where it's like, I ain't running no more, blah blah blah. He like runs up to the Titan and it's like, yo, you ain't got no gear on, like what you doing? And he like the Titan
Out
goes
there.
down to reach for him and he starts screaming and he punches
Yeah.
her fist and that little bit that little fist hits her hand and then you realize that like you hear all this trembling, and next thing you know, you just see a bunch of Titans running at her, and he gets his power to actually
Mm-hmm.
control Titans. and it's like just a huge retribution moment, just like
Yeah.
cause like the whole first 2 seasons, you just see Aaron just going through it, like just going through it, and
Yeah,
just
bro.
to finally see him get that moment of retribution, which caused him to actually join the scouts in the first place, which is his mom's death or whatever. And just seeing all that, cause like for the 3 seasons, it's all he talk about. Is like it's all he just gets flashbacks after flashbacks of his mama getting eaten by this female titan, and all he can remember is the female titan's face. So like when he finally gets that moment of, like, retribution, and like gets all the titans to like attack her, so that's one of my favorite moments of that. It's one of my favorite moments.
I
think
had that in one of my moments for Attack on
that
Titan.
entire show. So
Like I'm telling you, a number of my under 40, I had about 20 of them from Attack on Titan. Just going through, just thinking like, yeah, that happened.
yeah.
Carl, what you got?
A dope moment in anime for me. I know we didn't mention this show in one season animes earlier, but it's still a dope one season anime to watch. But in Death Note, where um the main character erases his memories on purpose not to get caught, but then he strategically plans in the show to get his memories back. And like that moment when he gets his memories back and like he's back in a sense, to me that's just a dope moment, just because like um even though like there's no real action there, but just the writing and just the intelligence of that character to to uh to be smart enough to erase your memory so that you don't get caught as being Kira, um uh for for um for killing all these people in the Death Note, but then put all these like dominoes in motions to get them back. And the moment he gets them back and like you see like that smirk like come back to his face, I thought that was classic.
Oh shit. I still need to please edit that. I still need to watch Death Note, like all the way through. I only saw a few episodes.
bro,
Watched the movie back in the day.
How many episodes have you watched?
Whenever it came on randomly, Adult Swim at night. I think when Death Note was popular, I was playing college ball, and I was not. There's a dark period in my life where I did not watch anime for about 3 or 4 years. I don't like to talk about it, but I thought I was going to go to the NFL. Yeah, bro. I got another moment.
Okay.
I'm going to come back to Attack on Titan, but I do want to get this one off just because it's one of my personal favorites. Sword Art Online Alicization, the Swordsman Berkeley, because my next two are actually swordsmen. There's a swordsman, a character named Berkeley, who in the whole story of Sword Art Online, for those who don't know, the first season is about, a bunch of people who tune into a virtual reality game, and lo and behold, they end up trapped in the game, and if they die in the game, they die in real life. So each season, there's a storyline of that follows Kirito, who's introduced in that first season through Sword Art Online, Sword Art Online 2, then Alicization and World for Underworld, which is all kind of running together. Then there's Sword Art Online Gun Gale or whatever, which is separate. But we're sticking to Sword Art Online Alicization World of Underworld. So Berkeley, at this point in the game, they're actually souls, replicated souls. It's not just a game anymore. The powers that be had figured out a way to create artificial intelligence. They were going to try, like, there are people who were looking to weaponize this. So it's up to Kirito to dive in to get some information, do something, blah, blah, blah. But while he's there, he realizes, no, these people are actually people. Like, to them, they don't know that they're a simulation or artificial. They're just living. One of the old villains, Vector, from the first season, Sword Art Online, who, some people who were in the game, instead of trying to be good and trying to survive, decided to just do evil because they figured they were going to die. This character is one of those characters who managed to escape and not, face justice for his crimes. But he figures out that it's, Kirito in the same group of protagonists from the first season. So he enters this game with the intent to just murder all of them. He ends up in a fight with one of the swordsmen of Alice, who is the AI, Berkeley. He's a character, not a main character, just a character in Underworld, as it's called, the software or whatever. And he has a sword that cuts through time. And in this fight, Berkeley, starts off kind of match, but he's really no match for Vector because Vector was able to import, just like Kirito, all of his attributes from every game he played, like a cheat code, into this game. So you've got a bunch of overpowered characters. It's up to Kirito and his people to kind of, defend, right? But in the midst of this fight, Berkeley gets his arm slashed off. And in his final moments, you see him kind of wandering around looking for a specific spot, because if he times it right with this sword, he can cut through the imprint that you leave, or wherever they were at in the fight. Like there was a essence of their chi or something left behind. But if he locates that moment within a window from when he activates the power, he's got like a minute or something to count down and actually find it. But he has to find it, right? It's not like a beacon. If he can slice through that, he can essentially kill you from the future by slicing your past. So it's this build up to it. It's a great fight. And in the end, we know our man's is like, it's done. It's over. He didn't got he is effed up, FUBAR, beyond recognition. And Vector was toying with him. And Vector's kind of just like, what are you doing? Try to figure it out. And then he kind of realized, oh, snap. And just as he realizes it, my man Berkeley finds the moment, slashes right through my man's as he's reaching, and he cuts him in half. And you get to reveal that this is the sword that can cut through time. And that's Berkeley's, spoiler, his final moments, but that was just a very well put together moment. And I encourage y'all to watch all the Sword Art online.
You said which season was this from?
This was Alicization, which if you're watching on Hulu, it splits that into Alicization and then War for Underworld, but it should be all just that one if you watch it on Hulu. But it was dope.
I ain't watched Sword Art since like early 2000s. Like
same. I got back on it. But yeah, it was hard.
Thanks.
Me again. Okay, so one of my favorite moments in anime comes from Hellsing, and it's when it's the final. It's actually two parts of that. I'm gonna go ahead and since we on it, I'm gonna just go ahead and throw both of them out. It's when the minor vampires they're running amok, and they thinking they big shit because they're vampires, and they run into Alucard. And they thinking they finna just run over him, and he's like, "Yo, you just became a vampire yesterday. Like, let me show you what it means to be a vampire." And he pretty much he does eat them, but he like pretty much drives them to the brink of insanity with within like what 2 minutes. But
what's that pattern zero he opens up or whatever when he does that perfect form zero?
Just by showing them some stuff like just by showing him them two vampires, his powers they like go crazy, and like they drove him to the brink of insanity, and then he like eats them. So like
assumes their souls.
Like that part really was like really got me hyped about the show. And then my other one from Hellsing is when he fights the last boss or last villain or antagonist.
Alexander, the priest.
Yeah. Well, no. That was a dope moment. But this one, when he fights on the last episode, when he fights the big bad, and then the big bad kind of like, thinks he's about to beat him because he's slapping him around. But a lot of times, Alucard, just fights people to see what their power limits are. Yeah. Because he knows what his power limits are. And then at the on this part, when the big bad thinks he's won, he reveals to him, he was like, "Yo, I'm Dracula."
Yeah, who is the big bad? Because I thought the priest was the big bad when he took that holy relic and transformed himself, thinking he was going to be somewhat on Alucard's level. And at that point, Alucard reveals he is Dracula. It's like, yeah, dude.
Yeah, like the big bad it was like this gray looking alien, not alien, but like he had a big head. He was like gray.
That was the priest. He took that holy grail. Yeah. He took one of those relics and consumed it. And Alucard warned him. He was like, "Nah, dude, don't do it. You don't know what you're asking for here."
Yeah. So because like I thought you meant the subway fight with the priest, but that was a dope moment too.
That was
good. When he pretty much reveals to him like, "Dude, I'm Dracula. Like, don't play with me." And like he just like instantly kills him. It was like that was just I don't know. That was two of my favorite moments that I would put up there, and both of them come from Hellsing. I know people be hating on Hellsing.
Hellsing's in my top 10.
Saying it's not a good show, but you know what?
I loved it. Hellsing's in my top 10.
I don't care. I like it.
Huge fan of Alucard. Huge fan. I'm gonna go new age here. So, My Hero Academia, Deku versus Overlord.
Overhaul, dude. Overhaul.
Sorry.
Overlord is also a good show, though. We need to get into that one of these days.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I apologize. I apologize. They're
Just for the
exactly right.
record.
I messed up his name. Deku versus Overhaul. I knew better. I should
Also
have.
one of mine, but
So
let's get into it, Carl.
not only is this a dope fight, but a dope song in the fight. Like the song is basically half of the reason why the fight, why the moment is so great. Um, I'm not proud of this, but I don't know what it is. My Hero Academia is just like one of the few animes that can just make me emotional. I don't know. They just know how to pull on your emotional heartstrings. I don't know how they do it. Maybe they studied psychology 101 and but they're good at it, at least for me. But
I agree with that. 'Cause they are.
song in the fight
Y'all be
is
crying, bro.
No, don't be crying, bro. What you talking about, dude?
It's okay to have. Hey, it's okay to feel, fellas. It's okay.
I'm not proud of it. I have, but you're not gonna see me do it. But have done it. But dope song. But in not just that moment in itself, but when you take into account what happened right before the fight, I mean, Overhaul is basically mixing these. I mean, guys, when I tell you he is like doing these guys in, like, it doesn't matter, teachers, students, top tier students, like, it does. I mean, he is playing them. He is sorry, but he is playing them like a flute. I mean, he is using these guys like a $2 hoe. Like, I mean, it's just it
Jesus
looks
Christ.
like he is about to just like wash all the heroes that are there, all the top tier students that are there, and then Deku and Eri come together. He's able to use 100% of his power, and let me tell you, he hits Overhaul so hard. When he hit Overhaul, I flinched. Like it. I mean, you obviously, heroes don't make a habit of killing people or whatnot. I mean, accidents happen, and some people are so dangerous. You gotta put them down every once in a while. But like, he hit Overhaul so hard, I thought he killed him. But he wasn't dead. But dope fight though.
That was what and it's important to mention that is it Yuri? Is that her name with the horn?
So what?
What's the with the horn?
Oh,
That was Ari.
what's
What's her name?
Ari, yeah.
Ari. She's able to heal Deku because he's not actually at a point in his training where he knows how to control his power. So it's big that he's able to use that 100%. We actually get a glimpse of what, because I don't think at this point in My Hero we've even seen All Might go full 100%. So seeing Deku and seeing what that looks like, the actual full, is like, yo, that was sick. Because that punch, like Carl said, it was exactly what you would expect from like out of a street fight or something. Like my man's is in the air zipping around and he catches him slipping and just 100 fists all at once. It was just like, yeah, that was one of those moments that you can't help but smile because it's like that's what we watch anime for.
Yeah, and that's what
Moments
I meant
like
by
that.
emotional. Not crying. I did not cry, but some moments
No
in My
comment.
Hero Academia make you want to stand up and cheer. So
Big facts. Big
don't
facts.
cry.
I had a few moments from My Hero. I mean, really all the All Might versus All for One fight.
Classic.
The Endeavor versus that Nomu.
Classic.
All Might's fight with the Nomu when the villains, the Legion of Villains, they stormed the training, the
In
campus.
season 1.
Yeah, and he gave him what 300 mighty blows, knocked him to the atmosphere. It was like, yo, All Might showed up and did that. He went beyond his time, didn't he? Beyond his time to actually hold
Yeah.
form. Yeah,
Because
that was
he had
hard.
already given his powers to Deku.
Yeah.
So he was fighting on fumes when he fought over. Not overhaul. All for One.
Will, can you talk about that fight with All for One? I mean, I'll let you do it, but
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to end it on that one because we're 2 hours in and haven't even gotten to the meat of our actual topic tonight. Uh All Might versus All for One. My Hero, and I hate this. can we do a part 2 on this? Because I've got more at like moments to talk about. And
Yeah,
like no
of course,
joke, y'all, because we
of
didn't even
course. Hold on. What? Of course, it's our show. Of course, we can do a part 2.
for the record, I hate repeat episodes. I do. I don't like because it's redundant and stale. But to finish this topic, I would like to come back to this and actually continue with these moments because we didn't even get through. I've got about 8 more Black Clover episodes. The
My
Dark
next one was
Dimensions.
gonna be Black Clover.
My next one was going to be aside from this fight, I wanted to talk about the Dark Dimension slash the Captain Yami Equinox.
Talk about Dark what?
You ain't watched it, so you stay over there, noob. But nah, he has this. But let me not circle.
Anime.
We'll do one more round on moments and get to the actual meat. Let me talk about this fight. So all Might versus All for One. This is at the end of the Stain. Well, not it follows the Stain arc slightly, but the Stain arc's not the main point. But what's this? The end of season 2?
Yeah,
Stain season 2.
No, all Might versus All for One.
yeah.
Oh, that
It's
was that? I thought that was 3, season 3.
Either end of season 2 or season 3.
Yeah,
Forgive me for that. I'll double check. But long story short, we get to reveal that there's an opposite. Yin and yang, right? For every good, there's an equal amount of bad somewhere out there. Balance. All Might, as powerful as he is, with All for One, there's a villain out there with a quirk, One for All, who if All Might can share his power and give it to somebody and transfer it, I think the gimmick with One for All is he can give powers to people, but he also can take.
All for One.
Like,
All
All Might is All for One, and yeah, okay, All Might's One for All, and then bad guys All for One. Yeah. So he not only can bestow quirks, but he can take quirks from people too. He holds all these quirks. He can use them at whatever moment. But I mean, at his disposal or his will, I guess. But All Might is on his last leg, and we see this is kind of the transition. This is actually All Might's retirement party. This fight, because it is at this point we get to reveal that All for One has been plotting everything. He's the Geppetto behind the strings. Everything that has happened up to this point has been carefully orchestrated under the advisement and guidance of All for One, and he's been pulling the strings behind the Legion of Doom, Legion of Villains. What's my man's name with the hand? Togagam? Is that Totoro?
Shigaraki.
Tigaraki, yeah, him. He's been manipulating all of that. So what ensues is we get a fight where All Might's kind of on standing, keeping up, but it seems that All for One can match him for a bit here, kind of blow for blow. And at some point, it kind of seems that All Might is on his last leg. But when I say explosive in terms of a final finish, All Might is trapped back against the wall, and we think he doesn't have any juice left. And right when he's burnt out of exhausted all of his energy, all of his power, he pulls a move out of his ass, bro. That what did he punt? He hits one All for One, and then is able to transfer all of the energy because I think he dodges it. I forgot what happened exactly, but it doesn't quite land. And All Might anticipates it, so he transfers all of his energy to the other side. It's like, hello, caught you slipping, bro. Smack. And he hit this man with the force. God, I want to know exactly how hard he hit him because he railed him. I mean,
He hit him with the United States.
Yes, United States of smack. Yo, the nicknames for his moves are just it's ridiculously goofy, but I'm messing with it. But the United States of Smash is brought down, descended upon All for One, and he don't move after that. And All Might is standing there when the smoke clears, slumped over, looking, taggart and ragged, but he gives a little monologue, a speech. He holds up his hand and he points at the camera and says, "Now it's up to you, or you next." And it's pretty much literal and figurative passing of the torch. So.
Yeah, that was a dope one.
Yeah, and I think for me, a part of that scene what made it so iconic was it looked like there's a moment it looked like All Might just didn't have it, like he was about to lose, and Gran Torino starts talking. He starts talking to him, or he's either talking to him or monologuing, basically saying like he was saying, "No, you can do it." It's like he said, "Think about all your students. Like think about how much they believe in you, and you see like." All of them, they're all like screaming at the TV. Some of them crying and all this other stuff. And Deku and Bakugo, they're like basically like the heir apparents. Like they're like in like all at once. You just hear everybody say, they all scream like all might, and like it, and then you go into what Will just talks about where they clash in fist, but he basically sacrifices that whole arm and uses it as a decoy.
Yeah. It was hard. Well done moment. Triumphant.
Mhm.
Did y'all want to do one last round before we pivot to the
Yeah.
meat?
No, I mean, we ain't got to. I think this is something that since we have a lot of them, this is something we can always like store and just talk about in future episodes. Just like, because we have a lot. There's a lot of anime to cover. A lot of animation.
I did. I gotta say thanks to y'all because honestly, because of this episode, I went back and started. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna pick some time, like a week, and put together a little anime challenge, Prism Black Pod anime challenge for people, and just because I didn't even get to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I got some moments.
I've only watched one season of JoJo.
I thought about JoJo, and like it's not that like I'm against it in any way. Like I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but I just couldn't think of too many moments that could rival some of the things like we were just talking about.
It's
Like I would,
definitely an acquired taste, I'd say. Go ahead,
well,
not trying to cut you off. Go ahead.
yeah, and like it's ironic because I was just I was mentioning JoJo to Pierre. Pierre's somebody who we went to middle school with, Banks. But like I was telling him, I said, "Hey, you gotta watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure." And he was just like, "Yeah." He was like, I don't know about this. This JoJo, this ain't it." And I was just like, "Oh, don't worry. Like, just keep watching or whatnot." And I said what you said about 5 different times, and then the season was over, and then I was on the next season, and then he was like, "Okay, well, I'll give it to like episode 3 or 4," and then like he texted me, "Crap, I'm on episode 7." Like,
Yeah, bro. That's it's, the thing about JoJo is it. You said it. You couldn't think of too many. That's the funny thing. I couldn't think of too many either, but it has moments. Like
yeah, it
through
has
the
moments.
entire the first 3 or 4 seasons are focused on Lord Dio, who starts season 1, and it's just his generational quest to just rinse the Joseph Star family. Like anybody that is Joe Star, like you are getting rinsed by Dio. He's just decreed it. After that, it does seem to get a little repetitive with the whole because that Dio story arc went, yeah, that was the whole first 4 seasons, dude. 3 or 4 seasons, I think.
Real quick, favorite JoJo.
Favorite JoJo?
Who's your favorite JoJo?
The one with the black hair.
Yeah,
Dang, the one with the season
Jos-
from the mask when they're trying to.
You talking about he's JoJo number 3.
there's Joseph, then there's Joku. I think I was rocking with Joku.
But I can't really say because I've only watched one season, so I gotta go and watch the other ones before I say who's my favorite. But since I've only watched that season, by default, that's my favorite. But
Who's yours, Carl?
That's tough, man. I can't say right now. I gotta think about it.
The Joe Star family. Yeah, who was? I think I'm going with the second during the when they got to the final when they ganged up and had they merry posse of stain users, buddy with the long trench coat and the hat. That's who I'm rolling with. Is that JoJo 2?
Am I frozen? Am I frozen?
I think that's JoJo number 2. That's not Grandpa. That's not JoJo Star. That's Joku, right?
Hold on. What I think I was frozen. What did you say?
Jotaro. Excuse me. I think that's
I
Jotaro.
think Jotaro. I'm not too sure which one he was, but I can't. I would have to actually think about who's my actual favorite though.
okay. Well, speaking of favorites, and Carl heard you bringing up songs from My Hero, which made me wonder like, what's some of y'all like favorite intro songs for like anime?
Goodness.
Anime has
Goodness. Here we
anime,
go.
anime has fire music, and we not finna act like it don't. even though I can't really, I don't speak Japanese, but I can feel the songs when they playing them. So like, what's if you just had to give me just two songs? We'll just go with two, cause like we could do 10 episodes on songs because songs are fire. So if it was two songs, if you was starting an anime, if you had an anime and you had to pick two songs from any anime to be your intro song and your outro song, what songs would you pick from anime?
If I had to pick two, so I'm gonna go with to introduce my anime. I have to go with Black Clover. Hold on, let me see what the name of this song is. It is
The intro or soundtrack? Because the Hana and
intro.
Makori. Okay, yeah. Intro is
Yeah,
different from the.
just two songs from like intros that's on the that
I
you would
think
use.
it's like Black Clover Shine Like a Diamond. Um, that one, and to close, I would go with Cannon Busters. The closing music from Cannon Busters.
That's your hard. Cannon Busters was song was fire as fuck. Not even gonna lie.
I want to say I previously I always liked the intros and outros, but it never really resonated as much as it does today. Like it seems today, a lot of creators put a lot more in thought into that.
I feel like they always have.
Head so the OG Japanese Dragon Ball Z intro does not hit the same way as Cannon Busters does or Yusuke's intro. Like
No.
creators having the going out now to say what?
Music was a little different. Well, like what people was into was a
Oh
little
yeah,
different.
that's what I'm saying. But it seems today like the music back then was geared towards just the hype of marketing. Now when I listen to music, like think about the opening to Yusuke with Thundercat. These creators are actively going and getting people that they know are going to blend and kind of bring that vibe in or create that feel from right off the jump. Like even with Cannon Busters, how the opening sequence goes. You see a man, Philly the Kid, he's grabbing the gun. It's like, all right, it's time for work. And then it gets kind of light at the end with Take Me Higher. It's like, yeah, bro, this is you feel good about watching the show. But Cannon Busters is an honorable mention for me. I'm good. I keep saying it. Seraph of the End, Vampire Rain. That song by XU. I actually have that in my Spotify. You can listen to this song. There's a Seraph of the End playlist, but the name of the song is Sawano Hiroyuki, I think, or XU by Sawano Hiroyuki. It's kind of an up tempo techno joint, but what I like about it is while the show's coming on, you kind of get light intros to each character and see their skill set, and they each have like their swords or their special weapon. They're just kind of wrecking hell, and it sets the mood for what you're watching, and that it's going to be packed full of action. And yeah, I say Cannon Busters and Seraph of the End, Vampire Rain.
And I got a correction. So the name of that song from Black Clover is Everlasting Shine. Everlasting Shine. I feel like best, in my opinion, best Black Clover opening. Black Clover's had some dope openings as far as music, but like to me, that's the best one.
Hey, my bad, Carl. I just realized I cut you off. I'm sorry.
That's cool.
I didn't even pay attention. My bad. Base, that's your two?
All right, so this is how I'm gonna go with my show. I'm going Red Swan from Attack on Titan season. I think it's 3. That yeah, Red Swan from Attack on Titan season 3. And then for my outro, I'm gonna go. I think it's called Fukimori from Inuyasha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot, man. I forgot all the Inuyasha had a
Fukimori is gonna be Fukimori is my ending. Like that's when the show going off, I'm playing that.
Yeah, Inuyasha has that soundtrack to end the show. That is a dope song, man.
Yeah.
Man, hey, I gotta give you credit for that. Yes.
Y'all know.
Another one that put me on to soundtracks that I first started paying attention to around that time that you watched Bleach. Like just actually listening and paying attention to the music because Bleach has some dope ass build ups to when you knew somebody ass was gonna get kicked.
So I gotta say two things. another show that has a song like okay, so what what's this show? It's okay, so My Hero Academia, the opening song, it's the sixth opening songs called Polaris. Best song to me. That's the best. And like My Hero has had some dope opening songs, but I feel like that's the best one. And I wish we could play it, but like you guys
Trying
said
to
for
get sued.
copyright reasons.
One day, we'll be able to play music on here and not get our videos taken down. But right now we probably can't. Sorry, guys. I'll put these recommendations in the in the YouTube video so you all
Yeah.
know what they are. So
And I'll say this. I will say this as well. Even though we're talking about opening and closing music, to me, the show and this is very specific. This is very specific, but the show that had the best character music, like music for a specific character, was like was the edited Dragon Ball Z original. They used to come on. They used to come on like Cartoon Network. You know, like when you'd always know when
You
Vegeta was
talking
about to
about
come because like the
Dragon,
Vegeta
Dragon,
music would play.
Dragon. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the intro. I was like, what?
No, like the Vegeta, like we can hold on. Like I can play
I know
like the
what you're talking about because every planet had a different theme. Like there's a specific planet Namek music. So I know what you're talking about. The intros. Frieza had a tune or whatever. It's like
I mean, so Banks, we could technically play that music, could we? Because that's not like actual like music.
I think if it's owned by somebody else, I don't think we can.
what did you just say, Carl? It's not music. Music's not music.
No, no, I'm saying like it's not like words or anything. It's like piano chords or whatnot.
Yeah, it just depends on like who owns it and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a written work by somewhere, created somewhere by somebody. Somebody owns that.
So yeah, it doesn't have to necessarily be lyrics, but
Speaking of ownership, that's a perfect segue and pivot. Over the years, and over the birth of this podcast, y'all have heard us repeatedly mention Marvel, DC, DC, Marvel, right? But what about the other guys? I submit Image Comics and Boom Studios, two of the biggest independent comic retailers, publishers, printers. Image to date, I believe, is number 3 behind Marvel and DC, but still very much considered independent. And I mentioned the ownership and use it as a segue because that is actually the story of how Image came about. A bunch of your OG comic lords, gods, what have you, back in the day, and this is a just real quick. Howard the Duck is the reason. The creator of Howard the Duck, which was, give me a quick sec. His name is Steven. I had his name, Steve Gerber, right? He creates Howard the Duck, and he writes for Marvel. And at some point, they part ways. He's fired like 78, I think. 73 creates Howard the Duck, and then Marvel, the movie comes out, right? And Steve, sues. As long as hey, y'all can't use my property or whatever. Something in regards to creator ownership and creator rights. He loses the lawsuit, but as a result of that, that kicks off what eventually, or the rumblings, early rumblings that are going to lead to Image Comics coming about. And what Image Comics was basically an initiative that was spearheaded by the introduction of his flagship character, Spawn. It's launched in 1992. But that was Todd McFarlane, who at that time was known for his work on Spider-Man, Jim Lee, who had been working on X-Men. And a lot of these names have been significant parts of the building of Marvel or DC over the years. So some of these people may sound familiar. Rob Liefeld from X-Force, Mark Silvestri from Wolverine, Eric Larson, who also was working on The Amazing Spider-Man, Jim Valentino of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Wilche Portacio of the Uncanny X-Men, along with longtime Uncanny X-Men writer Chris Claremont, who was not actively involved, but lended a lot of support. So Image Comics launched in 92, and just little fun facts about Spawn, because what I'm getting at is Spawn is a GOAT character. That's just, I'm throwing that out there. Spawn is I honestly and obviously my number one hero. People think it's Iron Man, but no,
Yeah,
Spawn is actually my
Iron
number one
Man's number
hero.
three.
Ooh, interesting. Spawn is my number one because if you know the story of Al Simmons, it's and we talked about this lightly in the representation, but to see what the character was and how it evolved, and where the story went, I just thought it was overall good. Particularly when we got to the Spawn Armageddon arc. But before I get into why I'm calling Spawn number one, just aside from my obvious affinity for it, what are y'all's takes on Spawn?
On
Oh,
Image Comics.
what's my
Image
take on
Comics,
Spawn?
Spawn. Yeah, I mean, there are a number of titles with Image Comics, not only Spawn, but that was just their flagship. But the early days, Image launched Spawn, Witchblade, Savage Dragon, Walking Dead is one of their titles. Invincible is one of their newer titles. Jupiter's Legacy, Kick Ass. Like Image has been doing a lot on the low, but it all started
So,
with Spawn in '92.
uh, so for me, if you're talking Image Comics, for me, it's The Walking Dead. Um, I actually, I actually own the first comic book um, of that series or whatnot. Even when the TV show had just come out, but obviously, like I didn't even know Jupiter. Is it Jupiter Rising?
Jupiter's Legacy.
Jupiter's Legs. I didn't know that was an Image comic book story until later on. But yeah, but for me, it's The Walking Dead.
That's great, but I was asking you about Spawn.
My bad. I
I thought you
misunderstood the
asked him what was
question.
his favorite about Image
No,
Comics.
I asked y'all's thoughts on Spawn.
You already know
We'll
my
get to the
thoughts on
favorite
Spawn.
part later, but I was asking y'all's take on Spawn.
You already know my thoughts on Spawn. Spawn is the goat. Like if Spawn is number one, regardless of what universe he's in. Um, yeah, he is
Cosign.
the goat. So
I take it you never read Spawn, Carl.
No, I didn't read a lot of Spawn.
That's the
Um,
funny thing about it because Spawn is this goat character that's this powerful character, and a lot of comic readers, anime, whatever, who anybody who knows Spawn would everybody put Spawn up there like, oh yeah, the story, what he's done. But with all that said, there's this shroud of mystery behind how many people have actually, kept in touch or kept plugged in because it's still running. I just picked up issue number 319 and 320. They just launched Spawn's universe, which is the first attempt at a shared kind of multiverse within the Spawn universe. Here's a couple of numbers and why I say that. So to date, um, with just under 500,000 pre-orders by comic release, King Spawn number one has shattered records, 497,000 pre-orders, which is bigger than any Marvel new monthly superhero launch, including Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, or Captain America issued in the past quarter century. King Spawn number one has also topped any DC Comics new monthly title launch for the past 2.5 decades, including Batman, Superman, Flash, or Wonder Woman. No Avengers or Justice League character has debuted a monthly book with sales numbers like King Spawn number one in the 21st century. And with Spawn, again, I've said this now third time, being introduced in 92, and the Spawn number one, that happened in 92 on record, is still the highest selling creator owned comic issue of all time with 1.7 million. So it's not like people don't know. But for some reason, it's when you mention GOAT, superheroes, all powerful, overpowered, I don't hear Spawn thrown in a lot of people's lists. Why would y'all think that is? Because he's got everything that we're looking for in terms of the representation, like the story's solid, the characters, the introduction, the reveals, the evolution of the characters, everything about the series is pretty dope. But why do y'all think it doesn't seem to?
because a lot of people aren't comic readers, so a lot of people get their media from like cartoons, and Spawn hasn't had a lot of cartoons, unlike people like Marvel. Because like when people talk about, no offense to X Men, I love X Men, but when people talk about X Men, they're not talking about the comics. Well, people my age, when they talk about X Men, they're talking about the animated series. They're not really talking about comics. So I think a lot of people got their preferences from television and not necessarily comics. People who read comics, you know, those 47,000 people pre-orders, they're
Mhm.
probably big comic readers. They probably don't read just Spawn. So it's like a lot of people just don't read comics and look to other forms of media to get their their rundowns of what's in the comics. Kind of
Yeah.
like Marvel is now. They go into like movies, but if you ask somebody what's going on in the current
Yeah.
Marvel universe, they probably couldn't tell you.
You have something to add to that, Carl?
Yeah. Basically, why I think that is because image is everything. No pun intended. In that, but image, image is everything. What I mean by that is just like Banks said, cartoons they matter. Animated movies they matter. Movies in theaters or whatnot or on HBO Max matters. Like even though Spawn is more successful than these Marvel or DC comic book characters or whatnot, I mean people don't necessarily see him in the mainstream in certain areas on their TV screen or in the movie theater. So that's probably why.
And not without trying, because initially when Spawn first hit stands, there was an animated show that was on HBO and the movie
Fire.
that starred Michael Jai White. Yeah, the animated show was fire. It's not like they didn't put this stuff out. I've as somebody who's read, a decent amount of the comic. I have not read the entire thing from start to finish, but I think the biggest thing, if not for nothing, is probably the religious aspects. Spawn is one; he's a hell spawn, but it's noticeably it is a dark comic. It's not for children. Never has been. Never would be. Even though I was a kid reading it and watching it, I don't think that was the intent with the creation of the character. And that's a big chunk of your audience, right? Iron Man, Batman. Even though Batman has his darkest moments and he's a total psychopath, it appeals to kids. The animated series. He's got gadgets and gizmos, a car, a bike, a plane. Stuff like that. A lair. Spawn's lair is a dark ass alley somewhere in New York City that nobody would accidentally stroll down if you had the choice or option. But seeing where the story starts and finishes, I think the religious aspects have a big deal because it does revolve around this. He is a hell spawn. He's given a choice upon his death. He decides he wants to come back, and he's given an option to come back, and that's if he becomes a hell spawn for Malboja, who is a lower ranking demon / devil in hell. At some point he's over Malboja. That guy gets nixed. And then sets off what is the story arc that leads up to the war for heaven and hell. And I think maybe some fans had issues with how that all of that got depicted, but it was a really dope story for people who want to read it. Spawn goes through, he fights with the Fallen, who are a bunch of angels who in the original war for heaven and hell supported God, but decided they didn't want to fight. So when it was all said and done, God cast them out to earth, and they didn't go to hell, but they were just stuck on earth. He fights through the disciples, which each one is a version of the original 12 disciples, with the last one being Judas Iscariot, whose ultimate punishment is because he betrayed Jesus is, he was condemned, and it's just really dope what they explored and everything. And not to spoil it, but there's a tagline that Spawn is the hero that saved the world, but couldn't save his own. And there's a heavy reveal at the end of that. For those of you who want to take a look and read that Spawn Armageddon story arc. But Carl, you already told us Walking Dead. What are some of your or other notable favorite Image titles? Because they've got a lot from not just in general, but also Black creators too.
Well, I'm not gonna act like some expert or whatnot. The only real things I really know from Image are The Walking Dead and Jupiter's Legacy. Um, like I've seen other titles or whatnot, but I'm ignorant um to who or what they are and what they're about.
I'll throw a few out there for y'all just in case. Did you watch Deadly Class?
Did I watch what?
Deadly Class is a show was it on Hulu or Netflix?
Deadly
I haven't
Class?
watched it.
The show was good. Check it out if you want to give, but that is also an Image comic. Deadly Class is about a group of teenagers, classroom. They are literally being trained to be assassins. That's the whole premise. The school is they come from
Is it Assassination Classroom or?
No. Deadly Class is
Okay.
two different. These are two different things. Remember, Assassination Classroom, they have to assassinate the teacher. They're regular students, though.
Okay.
They're not assassins. Deadly Class, these kids are everything from senators' kids to wealthy cartel kingpins, like just the elite, whatever your parents do, but they all get sent to this school. Yakuza, gangs, all that. Their kids get sent to this school to be trained to be killers and assimilate. And it's only one season is up, but it is solid. It is good. Deadly Class is one. Homesick Pilots, which I am reading. Radiant Black, Walking Dead. They've got a lot. 80 After Death, Adventure Man. Jesus, I could go on and on. Invincible is one of their newer ones.
Yeah.
Bank City takes on any Image comics?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm reading Philadelphia from Rodney Barnes, and I'm, because I've been a big fan of Rodney before I even knew I was a fan of him, because some of the stuff he made from before the Boondocks, I didn't even know he was on. So like, he was on my wife, like he was credited for My Wife and Kids, so he was a writer for that. So, but yeah, since I found out he did Boondocks and Black Dynamite, and I was like huge fans of those two shows. So now, like when he, I just start following them from that. So now when he puts out stuff, I, make sure to go watch it, because it's a lot of stuff. It's like that for a lot of people. They put out a lot of content. You have no idea that they was on it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just so now that I know that how to, with social media, how to follow people, how to see what they're working on. So yeah, I'm reading Philadelphia, and then just looking through Image.
What was Philadelphia? That's the vampires?
Yeah.
The vampire story?
Vampires. Yeah.
Can't go wrong with vampires.
Yeah, can't go. I mean, you can't go wrong with vampires, especially if you're killing them. It'd be. I wish. This is just my 2 cents. I need more people to make werewolf stories. You know what?
And what you said?
I'm gonna do it myself. I'm going to make a story about werewolves. Stay tuned. So.
The last. What
a clap set. Werewolves, baby.
I think the last werewolf show we had on was like Teen Wolf.
It was what?
Teen Wolf. That was the last werewolf show that was on.
Didn't get into it.
Oh, Teen Wolf.
Not really get into it.
That's because they do. That's why I didn't get into it. I want to watch a real, werewolf story, not Twilight for werewolves. I don't. Some stuff is like, even though it'll be subject matter about stuff that I like, but if you put the subject matter in the wrong, genre, I ain't trying to watch it. I ain't trying to, if it's an opera or a ballet about werewolves, that's not my stuff. No offense to ballet, it's just not my stuff. So it's like, I need people to like take werewolves and put them in their universe the way they were created, and then make a dope story around that, instead of trying to do. I mean, if you not saying you don't have to do this, because I know there's people who watch stuff like that, and I don't want people to feel like everything has their place and you can't go outside those boxes, because I think you can. It's just that I'm not gonna watch it. That's all I'm saying. So,
yeah.
Sorry.
I enjoyed Teen Wolf. I think the last couple of werewolf shows I remember, Teen Wolf, Being Human, what else? Maybe Bitten. But yeah, there's not a lot of them now.
Yeah.
So Banks is kicking off the werewolf resurrection.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. Now, what I like about Image is they do highlight a lot of their creators in general, but just they're big on the diversity and the inclusion, and they do highlight not only their Black but also Asian American, Pacific Indian, all that. But speaking to Black creators that are at Image that I'm excited to check out, Mark Bernardine and Afua Richardson have been working on this comic Genius. And what it centers around is, throughout history, we've seen like Alexander the Great's, Napoleon, the Genghis Khan, that like, what if the next great military mind was born right here in America, but not just born here in America, was kind of, centered around what if a Black girl from South Central LA by the name of Destiny, like, rose to power? What if she just started with her little 2 or 3 blocks where she's from, took that back strategically, and then decided that she wanted to wage war against the city and eventually the world or whatever. So it's just an interesting take on that, kind of an empowerment, but It's an action-packed book, kind of fantasy, I guess, starting with LA, but it's the type of story that I could easily get sucked into. So I'm excited to at least be checking that out among many others. But I'm not gonna stay fixed on me. Carl, I saw you went and got a few comics that you was looking like you was ready to talk about. You got something for us? Oh, my man Black Sands. We was gonna mention him. Let's get into it.
Go ahead. Who
How
wants to
is
Um,
start?
that?
so what?
How is it? I haven't ordered mine yet, but I am looking forward to reading it.
I haven't taken it out of the package yet. I actually want to look at it with my cousins. They're kind of like my nephews. They like I know one of them at least likes anime. I was trying to save it and look at it with him, but I actually this actually just recently came in the mail yesterday, so perfect
Congrats,
timing.
brother. Who are the creators on that?
Um,
For what, Black
Man,
Sands?
Manuel Godoy, David
Yeah.
Lennerman.
Make sure we shout out the creators.
Yeah, but
That brother's been putting in work on that. Don't they have a TV show as well that they're working on?
He's coming up with a he's working on a 3D animated series, and then and Black Sands as a company has like a whole bunch of. It's not just him. It has like a whole bunch of other comics from other creators that's also on there, and then he also has like novels. So it's not just comics and stuff. So it's like really trying to build, um, just build a larger company with just not just focusing on his stuff. So
Emmanuel Godoy, Prism Black supports you, sir, and we look forward to seeing what you got going as we create our own stuff. We look forward to getting with you and getting some of your comments, your thoughts, the takes on some stuff. But we definitely support what you're doing, sir. Looking forward to everything that Black Sands is bringing to the table. Um, Two more I've got image Black creators. Johnny Christmas and Valentine Delandro. Now, Johnny Christmas, he is the creator, writer, and artist of Firebug. Co-created Sheltered, which is what sparked my interest.
yeah,
Valentine Delandro is co-creator of Bitch Planet with Sue DeConnick, and essentially that is science fiction exploitation riff on women in prison. Um, that's what it is. They're about 3 issues or 3 volumes in. Um, I have that's the tagline, and that's like what it the quick summary. So I'm looking forward to that. Sheltered. This is Johnny Christmas, and this is a pre-apocalyptic tale of survival at any cost. And I'm reading off Image Comics website, but the men and women of Safe Haven have been preparing for any and all end of world scenarios for years. However, their bunkers, weapons, and training can't save them from the one threat they never could have expected: their own children.
I got a question because this is relates to Sheltered. How important is like the cover art for as far as like gaining your attention? Because Sheltered Volume One is what really made me want to read it. Just seeing like the cover art. Um, so like just just like with going in comics in general, how important is that to y'all? Like I know it's not a topic that we discuss, and if y'all want to shelf it for
I'm
later.
glad you. No, I'm glad you asked because I definitely. But Carl, please, I defer to my colleague first. Before I give my take.
um, um, I'd rather you go first, Will.
So on a scale of 10, one being not that important, 10 being absolutely, I'd say about 100. When I stop by my local comic shops, as I browse through the walls, in addition to asking questions about what's new, what's hot, following some of the staff picks, what the first thing that jumps out like a ball of wine, the cover art. You know, they say never judge a book by its cover, but actually with comic books, you kind of do judge these books by their covers because that's going to tell you everything you want to know about what the artist, the story, does it grab my attention, does it capture? I also, as a collector, and personally very much into. I'm big on that, not just the cover art, but the variant editions. Getting those editions that don't include all of the, I forgot what they're called, but there are specific variants that have no title, no credits. It's just the
Yeah,
art itself, and those you'll pay a little bit more money for most times. I've got a variant of a specific Carnage issue, that Eden #4. There are 2 variants out with X-Men #2 that just came out for AAAP month. Asian Heritage and Pride, and they featured Psylocke and another character whose name I don't know. She's a new X-Men. But stuff like that resonates and hits for me. And I just picked up I Am Batman Zero, which features, I think, our first Black Batman cover. I know Jace Fox is not the first Black Batman. We've had two. I think he's the second. But having a Black Batman on the cover and having, I mentioned the President Superman with Infinite Frontiers, having stuff like that matters. It hits for me. So I'm prone to buy those just off the cover, and I'll buy two. Sometimes I'll buy the regular issue so I can read it, and I'll buy a variant that I'm never going to touch after the initial, because I'm in this collecting part. So covers matter to me.
Yeah. So, sorry if I took y'all off, but yeah, I was just because that's where when I was going through because I went to Barnes and Nobles and I went to two bookstores last weekend and just looking through stuff, the covers what made me pick it up. So it's and then when I was going through Image and seeing what comics to get next, that's kind of what stops me. So it's I just want to ask y'all that. So but yeah.
Carl, how you feel about covers?
They get me. I'm pretty sure. I'm not gonna lie. Most of the time when I see a cover and it's dope, they already got me.
It started for me, honestly. That's how I learned to draw comic book covers. Before I ever got to copying, looking at an anime character or whatever, I started wanting to learn, and my fascination with drawing came from looking at comic book covers and I wondered if I could do that. As a matter of fact, little secret for y'all, me and Carl and them back in 5th grade, that's what we used to do in class. Be drawing.
Still got the video game.
We did come up with some video games too. We created a video game.
Put it out.
But pivoting and moving on to Boom. I mean, did y'all have any other Black creators that y'all wanted to discuss? There's a few more, but this is another conversation we covered because Image has so many titles, and I didn't realize they were they're number 3 for a reason, right? But Spawn obviously has a special place in my heart, and that's one of my, that's my OG superhero for those who don't know. And I'm excited that the movie, we're getting somewhat of a reboot. I think Jamie Foxx and Jeremy Renner are still on for that. No confirmations, but all good things to come. And with a new reboot movie means new merch, new TV shows, maybe new animes. Say what?
I said, yeah, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. So pivoting to Boom, they are the other guys. And I don't have a cool backstory for Boom. I just know I've looked up, and it turns out when I wonder what I'm reading, and I go, if it's not Image, Marvel, or DC, 9 times out of 7, it's a Boom Studios comic. I'll just throw out some titles here, and we can center because they also have a lot. But Adventure Time is a Boom Studios title. Angel, The Thief Among Trees, Bags, Ben 10, Big Trouble in Little China. Yes, that 80s movie with Kurt Russell and the 3 Storms, all that. Bill and Ted, Black Badge, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Clueless, Destroyer, Diesel, Dodge City, Dodo, The Empty Man, Fence, Firefly, Fraggle Rock, Garfield, Ghost in the Himalayas, Hotel Dare, Heavy Vinyl, Irredeemable, Labyrinth, and Dark Crystal. I mean, these are classics. These, we know these, right? There's a story on Judas. See, Just Beyond The Magicians, popular show on Netflix. If you love magic and you like Harry Potter and stuff like that, I would best describe Magicians as not comparable, but the other side of Harry Potter, I think, because it goes deeper. I think it's
an adult version.
Yeah, adult. That's what I was wanting to get at, but I didn't want to quite call it adult. But yeah, sure, we can run with that because it is. Mech Cadet U, Power Rangers, and it is of note. The comics guys at Rick's mentioned when they took this series, when Boom got a hold of it, they aged it. So if you were around when Power Rangers first debuted back in the early 90s, these stories pick up for kids like us. So we're grown now, so that Power Rangers have been aged to kind of fit our idea, our takes, is what I've been told. Peanuts, RoboCop, Regular Show, Rocko's Modern Life, Ronin Island, Rugrats, Need I keep going? Oh, one of my favorites. Last two here because there's plenty more. But Steven Universe and what I'm currently reading, Something is Killing the Children. But they've got more, and also the Woods and WWE comics. But they've got the titles. I had no idea that Boom had their hands in all those cookie jars.
And I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier is that, like, granted, it's like kind of like books, like people wait for the movie to come out, and the people who read the books are super excited about the books, but like most people don't take the time to read the source material. They just they just see what's on TV because that's their main source of entertainment. You know, their main source of media. That's how they consume all their media, which is like through video or through their phone or through television. So I think that's why a lot of people don't know that these comics are on here is because of that. So I think when everybody, because like everybody, not even gonna say everybody, but like a lot of people know Regular Show. A lot of people might not know that Regular Show is a comic. A lot of people might not know that Adventure Time is a comic. So, but Adventure Time is like the number one show on Cartoon Network when it was on, and so was Regular Show. So I just think people consume media in different ways, and then I think that's why a lot of these comics don't get the shine that they get supposed to get.
Anything you got on that, Carl?
No, I'm gonna let you guys just take this one.
Man, he's getting sleepy. He's sleepy over there. I'll say this: Boom and Image are very much considered independents, but however, in which they are, with some of these titles that they've got licensing to, because what this opens the door up to is shared universes. I don't know why I don't see any reason for them not to be major, because what I got from the guys at the comic local shop is that's one of the differentiating factors between majors and the independents. Once you've established a shared universe between your properties, that's pretty much, to be able to have that creative, because notice that is what Marvel and DC evolved to eventually in order to maintain and keep, or at least focus. Because, think about the old DC universe we knew. Like, that, if you guys have ever seen the encyclopedias out there, the Marvel DC encyclopedias, there are a number of characters that were created, started, and just finished. No continuance, no, they came, they went, that's it. And that was part of the big DC New 52 reboot, because they had so many characters and so much license. Like, yo, we can't really continue to write and keep up with all these characters. So we're going to focus on these, and what trickles down from them is what it's going to be. So there's no reason for owning all this, because that's we've seen the Batman Ninja Turtles crossover. That's happened. IDW, I think, has the licensing to My Little Pony and Transformers. But what I'm getting at is there's no reason for Boom not to, like with some of these more popular titles, to actually start bridging off, or Image too. I don't think they ever will, because they're, pro creator ownership, right? But we could see, shared universe between some of these titles. And honestly, is there anything off that list that sticks out to you that you would want to see?
Boon or Image?
Either or.
Yeah, I would definitely want to see Spawn and Witchblade.
They did do a crossover.
Oh, they did do a crossover.
There's a comic, not an anime, but there's a comic. I've got the first 3 issues of Spawn and Witchblade, and it's medieval Spawn and Witchblade, but it was a dope crossover from what I hear. It was pretty dope. Honestly, I'm gonna go on a limb, and I might get killed for this. I don't mind any crossover on the Boom side as long as Mordecai and Rigby get fitted in, because they.
Hold on, what you gotta speak clearly, because I want to hear this.
I don't mind, and this is just for shits and giggles. This isn't any particular serious crossover, but I have such an affinity for Regular Show, because Regular Show, for those who don't know, is a GOAT cartoon for me. I'm putting it up there after years of avid cartoon watching, whatever. That it's an adult show cleverly disguised for kids, and it's not so over the top as with the adult themes. It's basically for anybody who was born. If you were born anytime before the mid '90s, most of the jokes that are penciled into Regular Show are going to hit. They're going to land. It's just full of pop culture references for that age group. And, Mordecai and Rigby, these 2 teenage, I guess, losers that they have these spectacular adventures going through and dealing with the everyday regular BS of life. But in a potential shared universe, I see those characters as versatile as they are, and as much as we've seen them do, because they essentially have tune power, right? They could fit in just about any story, just being Mordecai and Rigby.
I don't know
That
if
doesn't
Mordecai
involve
and Rigby.
vampires and zombies and shit like that. I mean, just the other shit. Please edit the curse.
I don't think Mordecai and Rigby will fit in Adventure Time, but
You could definitely fit them in Adventure Time.
I think there's
How could you not?
I think there's way too much magic in Adventure Time to fit Mordecai and Rigby. They would just be.
Would they
running
not
the
just
whole
become
episode.
magical? I mean, we forgot they
No.
journeyed to an entire world where rules didn't exist, and like they do
Rules
magical
is-
shit.
But I'm saying that's the thing. They have rules, and the only reason, like Mordecai and Rigby would just be running the whole episode. That's all that would be happening.
No, I mean the episode where they went into the dumpster where there were no rules. Remember, they got fired from the park.
Well, yeah,
And
because
dudes
on that episode they have no rules, but like in Adventure Time universe, there's rules. So like, I don't think they would fit in there. But it's just my take.
I don't know. The adventures, some of the stuff they've done with skips, some of the adventures they've had, bro.
They had major adventures, but like
They went to space. I mean, they've done a lot. Think about it.
and they
Now, granted, Rigby would just ruin most anything, but I think that's where
Running.
Mordecai comes in and balances that out.
So, but yeah, I love regular show too. R.I.P. regular show.
Yeah, JG Quinto. He's got another show that was on HBO. God, I can't remember the name of it because it's basically just a more, hence why it went to HBO. Basically, the same as regular show, but definitely more adult. I think it's called Close Enough. Yeah, first season is on HBO, Close Enough. But that show is hilarious, very meta and very current. So anything that was happening in 2019, 2018, 2020, like Close Enough hits on all of that. So, but guys, it's 10:50. We've been going for almost 3 hours.
Yeah, it was a good episode, man.
Had a lot on our mind, Carl. Are you sleepy or are you just excited to get to next week's episode?
Nah, I'm cool. I'm actually thinking about a couple of different topics for next week, but
I had one for next week that we could factor in and sneak peek. But what do y'all think about doing a big three versus the OGs?
OG's referring to who?
So big three exclusively refers to a specific period on Shonen where 3 shows were the anchors and doing ridiculous numbers, unlike the likes of anything that had ever happened before in Shonen Jump. I believe those shows were Naruto. I think One Piece. Let me see. Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. And this is also the first time the term Big Three was coined to refer to a specific set of anime that in manga that was just doing ridiculous numbers. And this was also a turning point in the evolution of anime and anime watchers, where a lot of people who missed out, like if you missed out on the OG era that we came up in, because a lot of us would say, and we talked about this before on this show, but we've named some of our OGs, which DBZ, some Gundams, what have you, and whatever. Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece was a whole new introduction for an entire new generation. And that sort of progression from our OGs, what we would call the OGs, to these big three, to now the new wave big three, which some would say Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, some of these other shows are just out making noises, and that are still very early. But I think that would be an interesting point to dissect. Just between now and then, I know I'm not going to finish One Piece, so I need to get busy on Naruto and dive into Bleach.
Yeah, you can watch One Piece for the next 10 years. You probably won't finish it.
Whew. Boy, couldn't.
It's a lot of fucking TV to watch.
15 seasons, bro. And it's like 100 episodes a pop each.
I say you. I know. I'm not saying what you said about the big three isn't true, but I would much rather break them up by year they came out, or like a certain year, I guess. Period.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. We'll have to check because another thing with the big three, a lot of those came out before their actual popularity hit. They became,
Naruto.
yeah, they were dawned as the big three because it was during the mid 2000s. Shonen Jump just started trending up, and it was because of these 3 shows as the anchor. they're not a big three for me, but I definitely get what people are talking. Because I had no idea that this was even a debate, but apparently it is. Going to some of these anime groups and people will argue to death about what's considered big three and what isn't. But I think we all three have OG big threes. And then I could definitely acknowledge these three as, okay, they are the shonen big three, like whatever. But yeah, we can talk about it. But that's one thing to add to the talk track. Probably continue on some of these moments.
Definitely, because I think those moments are like what really makes these like shows stick for people. So and it can really tell you what you're into, like because sometimes people be talking about their moments in anime, and I just be like looking, it's like that don't sound too interesting. So, but yeah, it's cool. We can do that next week.
I'm gonna go back and watch Princess Mononoke because I know that had at least one moment in it in my early days of anime.
Don't get me started on the movie moments. Always hit way hard.
Dog, we didn't even touch movie moments. Like we can definitely go in on some movie moments. Carl, you all right?
Yep.
Carl said, "It's night. It's time to go to sleep. Y'all rambling. Shut these
Nah, but
up."
thank you to the listeners for tuning in and tapping in with us. You could have been anywhere in the world, but of course, as always, we do appreciate the privilege of your time. My name is William H. And don't forget, time is money, but money can't buy time. So don't forget to stop, smell the roses. I'm gonna get that tagline down, I swear. William H. Murphy's Law 615.
Now I'm Banks himself. Don't forget, I need money.
Q 50 Cent.
And I am the lone Jedi of the group, Chaos Black, aka Carl Tomlinson.
Yo, Banks, do Jedi still suck?
Jedi still suck, bro. Out here just telling people how to live, not, just sucking.
I swear, bro, if they could just get some cheeks, I'd sign on. I'd be down for the Jedi life.
I still ain't signing on because you gonna get some cheeks and then they gonna kidnap your fucking children.
Well, I mean, I'm implying if they just redid, like, just allow them to feel. Like, how do you tell somebody you got to protect the galaxy, but you essentially have to be an ant? Like, you can't feel because they also can't make impulse decisions.
They would just be Sith then if they did that.
America and everybody else in the world, these are the same people who said I was arguing with myself. I didn't start this. You hear this?
Look,
You hear this?
How many Star
Hold
Wars
on, hold on.
conventions have you
They
gone
said
to,
I
bro?
wasn't arguing with myself. Who's talking?
Let me ask you
about
a
this
question.
right now?
How many Star Wars conventions have you actually been to?
Say what?
How many Star Wars conventions have you been to?
Enough to know that you ain't no Sith. How about that?
wow.
Nah, so that's zero because you'd be surprised. So that's zero. that's the answer to that question. You'd be surprised how many more people are pro Sith than Jedi. It's just saying, dog. You would be absolutely
Completely irrelevant to what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about how badly the Jedi suck. So
Yeah, I mean, we're nice to the old Republic, Carl.
yeah,
The Jedi suck so much they could have stopped it. They could have stopped the Empire expanding its reach like 3 times, and they didn't. So, they suck. Meanwhile, what did the Sith do? Succeeded a few times. They succeeded a few times.
Except they
and
killed
lived
each
merrily.
other, and it's only like 1 or 2 of them.
Nah, it's me and Banks. That's all we need. Less is more, bro. Jedi.
Well,
What sense it made to have all them Jedi? And y'all got wrecked by one Sith. He took the entire. One Sith took down the entire Jedi Knight Temple.
You do
That shit had to be
realize
rebuilt.
that I no disrespect, but that's just kind of like plot armor. I mean, realistically, that's not really. I mean, if you want to play this out in a real, that's not happening. I mean,
But it
come on.
happened, Carl.
No, I'm saying I'm saying
it happened, bro.
no. Okay. Let's look at this like realist, like you said, Mace Windu and all his abilities and whatnot. How is he losing to Darth Sidious? He's not.
So how his power works now, as much as I hate that, because I have actually gotten into this debate with some people, but as much as I hate the fact that Mace Windu should not have been killed, it's not an all-encompassing power where he can look into people like
I
everybody's
know, but
weaknesses
I'm
at
saying
once.
like the reason the Sith won over, like the reason two Sith won over all those Jedi's is plot armor, not because they're not good. It's plot armor.
Wouldn't that be
No,
the same
Carl,
How
I don't
thing
think you
for?
can call
Wouldn't
it
that be the
plot
same
armor
thing
with.
for Rey destroying everybody in her most recent movies? Because there's no way she would have killed all them people.
say
She
what?
barely.
Hold on, I didn't hear you, Banks.
I said, wouldn't it be the same thing for Rey in the most recent movies? Because there's no way she would have killed all them people, seeing how she had just started training
Who? Ray?
Ray.
Oh,
in the new movies.
Yeah, Ray's story arc was filled with a ton of plot armor.
now I would say you bring up a good point. Like if you look at the first movie, like she was in like the Force Awakens, like she shouldn't have been able to beat Kylo Ren, even though he was injured, like that's plot armor too. She shouldn't have been able to beat him.
So that's
Yeah,
all.
so here's the thing, Carl. I don't know if we're gonna call that plot armor. As defined part are as a character's unusual or unbelievable abilities to survive physical damage, injury due to their importance to the story. But in this aspect, this is the story. Like it'd be one thing if Anakin's evolution was counter to the story and sort of, on the side, but from the jump, from episode 4, the story of Darth Vader turning to the dark side, his ascension to that's the story. So I don't know how any parts of that is defined as plot armor.
No, I'm not saying Darth Vader turning to the dark side is plot armor. Like I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying that if you have two Sith versus 30 Jedi, I mean they can't win. The Sith can't win without plot armor.
The Jedi aren't invincible, and that's not true.
No,
You're
I'm
saying
not
that,
saying
but that's not true.
I'm not saying they're invincible. Like I'm
Here's what happened. One Sith Lord showed up and completely wrecked. Now, all of the big Jedi weren't there. That goes without saying. If all of them had been there, would Anakin have even bothered to show up? Probably not. However, this was a strategic correlated attack launched by the Emperor. Remember, he had all the Jedi split out, so we're seeing them get popped one by one. There were some there who were, enough, but none of them. Anakin's a high-ranking Jedi at the time, or was. He was arguably the best swordsman. So, I mean, that's the idea.
I'll use it in a way that where a Jedi beat a Sith, that it was plot on. Like Banks just said, when Rey, first time she touches a lightsaber, first time she's really in a fight with Kylo Ren, and she ends up winning. That's plot armor. She shouldn't be able to beat him.
Did she win? Because the first time they met, she fled.
I'm just saying, like, even
she ran. Her and Finn ran.
I'm saying, like, I'm talking about the end. She still shouldn't be able to beat him.
She shouldn't have beat all them people. Like, she had barely any training.
Yes.
No, that's excluding the progression in the saga, but mind you, that is a totally entirely different situation and scenario versus Anakin slaughtering the Jedi Knight to everybody that was in the temple. You're moving the goalposts, which is what you do. You do move the goalposts a lot.
Banks made a good point. I mean, he's right.
No, but what Anakin did and those are two different, like that Anakin's story, not plot armor.
I'm not just talking about specifically Anakin. I'm talking about the fact that the Sith with just Sidious and Dooku, and then Sidious and like Anakin were able to do. I mean, that's to accomplish that feat, plot armor.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not, but go ahead. Let's go off this. Rey's scenario, the last trilogy is full of plot armor that doesn't.
Since it's clearly a good conversation, we can table
it. Yeah, we'll bring that. We'll definitely table this for another time. But that's plot armor. Like that is the story. Rey, a lot of what happens and stuff was happening that just we got a lot of that with no answers, no conclusion. So that's why I would definitely call Rey's arc a lot of plot armor, because like Snoke, the introduction of General Snoke with no explanation to who he was, like he gets taken out fairly easy. But we'll save that for another episode. Prism Black, thank y'all for rocking with us. Peace.
I'm not fired.
Run it back one more time, Banks. Hold up. Run it back one more time. I need one more so I can hard shake that.
Oh, Kimosabi.
Yeah, that sexy jazzy saxophone. Oh. That 80s sexy sax.